Hello and welcome to Bergkamp Wonderland. I'll be your host tonight and my name's Jason and I'm joined by an illustrious panel. First of all, we have the button monkey. He's short, he's round, he bounces on the ground, Danny the GFP.
You nearly said baton monkey, but I'm the Battenberg monkey.
I did. How are you, Dan? You all right?
I'm tickety boo, and I'm going to go and see my favourite storyteller / comedian ever, Billy Connolly, tomorrow night for the third time, and it'll probably be the last time I'm ever going to see him as well.
Sweet, that's nice. Is that the reason? Is that the reason you had a bath today?
It certainly is. I thought I've given me undergrandies a scrub as well. In case there's any ladies there.
Nice and fresh. Nice and fresh. You gonna hang out? Hang out?
Well, I might ask Billy. He's a Celtic fan. See if he wants to come on here and talk about the time that we shit on him to get him out of the Champions League. Who was that who dived?
Nobody. I think it could have been Sanchez.
No, it wasn't him.
Poor Eduardo.
Bless him.
We proved he was touched, so it went over. It was fine. Celtic always fucking mourn, don't they? Never mind. Okay, on to my next guest. Here he is, back by popular demand. He's writing in all the major publications nowadays. It's Simon Collings. Simon, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks, Chase. How are you?
I'm all the better for speaking to you, mate. A bit of quality.
I'm feeling much better now that I'm imagining Danny in a bath, so that's cheered me right up. It's a nice image to get me through.
We actually have a photo we can show you.
Oh, God. Tweet it out, maybe, I think.
It will be retweeted again later. Do not look at it before you go to bed. You will not sleep. I promise you.
I am here,
Yeah, and, for crying out loud, what do you expect? How's work been, Si? All good?
Very good. Seen a bit of Leicester, a bit of Arsenal, so can't complain.
Sweet. That's great stuff. Okay, on to our next guest. He's my brother from another mother from across the pond. It's Shredder!
Hello, Mr. Davies. How are you? Davies, as the button monkey says.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
72% of the time.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? He does. He's terrible. How are you, pal? You all right?
Big Thanksgiving holiday over here, so I was feeling great. I had a nice big feast for lunch, and the talk about Danny in the bath has got the nausea coming back up. So let's just move on from that.
It could be worse. You could have to do a Nazi salute before lunch nowadays over there.
I live in the liberal bubble, my friend. I live in the liberal bubble.
That's why we love you. Great to have you on board again. It's nice having you within the space of a month on a couple of times. Obviously, the time delays and what have you, it's been difficult, but it's great to have you back on so soon, pal.
Good to be back on. So I always enjoy it. Always still love listening every week, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be continually asked back on. So yeah, cheers. Fun to be here with everybody as well. Especially a certain Australian.
I hate to tell you this, pal. You're part of the team, so you got no fucking choice.
There is that.
You got no choice. You're part of the team, so tough. Now you have mentioned our other colonial brother. Here he is, Dom.
I didn't even want to come on tonight. I've been forced against my will. We're well and truly reached the fanny quota, I think. There is far too many fannies on tonight.
To be fair, we filled that with Danny.
Ridiculous.
Is it? What are you moaning about? You're the darling of the Arsenal public. So
it's about 3 degrees here. I'm not built for these kind of conditions, Jace. I've had 17 coffees already.
No sugar with any of them, I bet.
No.
Yeah, no sugar. Are you right?
Yeah, not too bad. Other than I can't feel my fingers or my toes, but
grab onto something else then, pal.
Yeah, definitely need both hands for that.
Okay, let's leave that there. I'm from one big dong to the number one dong. It's Geoff Arsenal.
How the devil are you, sir?
I'm very well, mate. It's always good to speak to you.
Certainly. What's the weather like in Wales?
It's bloody cold, to be fair. It's not quite 3 degrees, but friggin' heck.
Pissing down the rain?
No, dry today. Dry. It's a shocker.
Good man.
The Storm Angus is just, I don't know.
Anything happening down in Wales at the minute? Anything you want to tell us about? The Coca-Cola truck's pulling up yet or not?
A fucking Coca-Cola truck on my life. I'm not being funny. I'd slash its tyres, but it'd fucking stay there, wouldn't it? Okay, they're bastards. They're everywhere, okay? They come down from the mountains. There's, honest to God, there's 2 women walking along the pavement, right? I'm not sure if they're in a race to get diabetes or a fucking coronary. They were so fat. So fat, okay? They're taking them off the pavement. Well, all the pavements. The Coca-Cola lorry should have run them over. Twats. Honest to God, Geoff. Okay, I'm not in the mood for it. Hey, the last time we saw each other was at the Swansea game.
Was it indeed? Wasn't it? Wasn't that a good day, mate? Eh?
Mate, it was absolute stormer. You know, I got to be honest. I met OG, his mate Eric, in 5Gs. That was brilliant enough. I didn't think it could get better than you, Raj, FK, Kris, all the boys.
Brilliant day.
Yeah, and once again, thank you very much for sorting out the box.
Topped it off, didn't it? Eh? Last minute. You know, it was brilliant, fantastic. It makes it all the much better.
Honestly, God, cherry on the cake to be able to share that with you guys. It was just fantastic. Banter flying back and forth.
I bet old OG is still he's still pinching himself, mate. You know.
To be fair, mate, I haven't stopped grinning. You know,
great to meet everybody as well. You know.
Well, this is the thing. You know, we let's be honest, guys. Social media has its bad points, but something like this and meeting guys, you know, friends like this is one of the great things about it. It was a special day. Looking forward to doing it again soon, to be honest, pal. Looking forward to hooking up again. I'll buy you a coffee. You know, I hear you're on the lattes now.
Latte. I've got stuck on the latte. I'm a latte king now, mate. Wet latte, they call it, the hipsters.
Oh, God. Oh, Kris will be all over that. You know, Kris doesn't like a beer either, so he'll be all over a little latte. The
problem is the old PG tips are going to go skint now I'm not buying them, you know what I mean?
No, don't worry. Danny'll keep it going.
The old Council House tea, God bless them. I love it.
I like a couple of PG tips.
So do I. I love it. It's my favourite team, mate.
Superb. Okay, right, guys. Let's get into this. The weekend started off at Man United. Lots to talk about. Simon, do you want to give us your thoughts on the United game, please, pal?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't greatest game from an Arsenal fan's perspective in terms of how we played. I was on my way back from holiday, so I was actually watching it on the plane, which I didn't know you could do now, but apparently on flights you can watch live TV. So I was watching the game on that.
Were you on an Emirates flight?
I was on an Etihad flight, which is with the enemy.
Yes, I can't believe it.
Better deal. So I didn't have a choice. But
to be fair, they are cheaper.
I think for the first, 70 odd minutes, and when United got the goal, they were the better team, and it was a typical Arsenal performance after the international break. Sometimes they just looked off the pace, struggled to get a foothold in the game, and for me, it just felt like United bullied us a bit. They seemed physically. We allowed players like Pogba to get on top, and when Mata scored, I think you'd struggle to argue that it wasn't deserved. And then, to be fair to Wenger, with sort of 10, 15 minutes to go, he made the changes. Oxlade-Chamberlain on at right back to get a bit of pace and to get out. Rashford had been put out left. And the man of the moment, really, at the moment, Giroud with the goal. It was a fantastic header. I was sat in the plane and sort of jumped up and shouted and got some very strange looks. I don't think anyone else was watching it on the plane. But it was a brilliant goal. And that was the sort of performance that, in a way, you come away from it and you think, oh, well, we didn't play great, but we've nicked a point there. And it's one of those in sort of March, May time, I imagine we'll be talking about on here going, oh, well, we got that point United. And it's becoming a bit of a hallmark at the moment with this team, I think, with matches where you don't really deserve it and we're getting a point. But I'm sure we'll come on to it. In terms of the style of play and how we set up, I think there's a lot to say. Maybe Wenger got it wrong on the day, but we got the point. So I don't know if anyone else thinks that Wenger maybe tactically could have changed it. I think that midfield pairing was the thing that certainly for me was the biggest episode for debate and whether you could have done it differently.
Well, funny enough, I'm going to come on to Geoff for this now. The setup of the team, I got to be honest, I was very surprised when I saw the lineup. It did sort of strike me as it was very defensive. We've heard many of our friends on Twitter knock United this season about how poorly they're playing. Jose has been having a pop at his squad. There've been rumblings from United that they're not happy with about Mourinho. But it's Mourinho. It's Old Trafford. And Arsene Wenger went ultra defensive, where I thought we had an opportunity to go there and have a real go at them. Do you think?
I don't know about ultra defensive. I just think he was maybe a little bit cautious. I mean, you've got to remember we've taken a few Tonkins at Old Trafford over the years, and it's not been a good hunting ground for us. I think we've only won once there in something like 11 years in the Premier League, something like that, some mad stat. And it's a difficult place to go. And you know United, as much as I hate Mourinho, he generally does set a team up well against Arsenal. He seems to know how to do it. He knows that Wenger is not really going to alter his style of play. We're going to be offensive. And I was quite surprised how offensive Manchester United were. I thought they'd be, just holding deep and just trying to catch us on the break. So I was a little bit surprised by that. They're under the hammer a lot, and it was a big game for both teams. But I think it was a very, very big game for Manchester United because it was a test for them. They've had a few bad results of late. The spotlight was on Mourinho again, and I was really, really surprised how well they come out and the way they played. I come away from that game, given the circumstances of how we played, which was poor, there's no doubt about it. Our possession was bad, but we did dig in there. But I come away from the game feeling like it was a win. And I know it's only a point, and I know we are if we are really going to change, we should be beating teams like Manchester United, given the form they were in. But it's a point at Old Trafford, and I'll tell you now, any Arsenal fan worth their salt would have most probably taken that before the game started.
I don't disagree with you. I've got to be honest with you. Mourinho, Old Trafford, it all adds up. It all adds up. But I felt after the Tottenham game, I thought Xhaka, whereas we weren't brilliant against Tottenham, we had the beginnings of maybe something in midfield, and I thought the El Nene, Xhaka, El Nene Coughlin pairing, and the lack of pace on the left-hand side, picking Ramsey ahead of Monreal, it really smacked of, hold up, we're going not to lose. Shredder, let's go straight to the midfield pairing, El Nene and Coughlin. How do you feel they performed on the day?
Yeah, it's really tough when, and I think Geoff said it perfectly. I'm not sure that Wenger thinks that's ultra defensive like a lot of the fans do. I think he expects El Nene to sort of be that engine and Coughlin to stay back, but I don't think that they've got the pairing, because it's you really think of that as almost a pairing like a center back partnership, and they just haven't got the games together to know when the other one's going forward or not. And it's tough because I do think we allowed them a lot of space in the midfield, and we got cut ball watching a little bit. I think El Nene sort of was late getting to Mata with that late run on the goal. And I don't want to write anybody off because the players we have, I feel, are good enough, but I just think they need to play more together. And it's tough because we have so many different combinations that we can put into that midfield. And when you continue to keep rotating and keep tinkering, and maybe Arsene Wenger this year, to steal a sort of a line from Ranieri, maybe Wenger this year is tinkering a little too much with that midfield and not letting a pairing get established. I know it's tough with Cazorla out, and we'll come to that later, I'm sure, but it's not a combination that instills me with confidence, creatively, but it also doesn't instill me with confidence defensively. And I think that's really sort of a big issue that, I'm not sure that they played terribly, but they definitely didn't bathe themselves in glory during this match, and we got caught out for it on a game I felt we probably should have won.
Okay, cool. I want Dom. I'm sticking on the midfield pairing because Coughlin, in all fairness to the guy, has been very, very effective in the holding sort of DM role. The way he intercepts the ball, the way he cuts out space for attacking sides. He in previous seasons he's been fantastic, but he's been playing further up the park this season. We can see that with everything that's gone on over the last number of games. With that in mind, and the fact that this partnership played against Middlesbrough, and it didn't work then, We didn't create anything against Borough, and they bypassed our midfield to set up counter-attacks. Why would it work against United?
Well, as soon as I woke up at 4:30 a.m. and saw that on the team sheet, I considered going back to sleep, because I think you're spot on. It's not going to work. When you think about what Francis Coquelin is good at and where he's been the most effective for us, it is intercepting, clearing, breaking up play, doing all of these types of things. You don't think of him as a guy that's going to make late runs into the box or pick out a killer pass or, be really that effective at all in the final third. And if he does make these runs and the ball gets cut out, then all of a sudden he's absolutely nowhere when it comes to what he is good at. So if the team's launching a counter-attack against us and he's tried to make a run into the box, I know that people want to point at players like Ramsey for leaving the team high and dry and out of position, but I've seen Francis Coquelin do it just about more than anybody recently. Although in saying that, I thought that he had a very good game against United. Where I think we fell down is El Neni in the midfield. I posted a picture from 442 stats the other day, and I think El Neni may have had one pass forward in our half. Everything was sideways for 90 minutes. And so I know that people are going to point at Ozil for not standing up in a big game, but it's a little difficult when he's constantly having to drift out really, really wide to just even get possession because the ball's not being passed forward at all. And so I think with El Neni, you don't get that drive forward. You don't get that creativity that you get with Santi. And I'm sure we'll come on to Ramsey's performance against PSG later, but you don't get that run and drive that you'd get from a Jack Wilshere or an Aaron Ramsey from midfield from El Neni. I think he's just tidy. He can keep play moving. But he's the type of player that I want to see come on with 10, 20 minutes to go with a 1-0 lead at home against a big side to shore things up a little bit, perhaps, or to partner Xhaka or someone like that. But when you look at the United midfield, they had Michael Carrick and Pogba, and Carrick's about 84 years old, but he's so good on the ball that he doesn't need to be. He can control the game so well, and we were constantly second to the ball. We were constantly, if there was a knockdown from a clearance or something like that, or a goal kick, we were always second. That they were first to everything. And you go back to the big games against United and Arsenal and the Keanes versus the Vieiras, and the battles were won in midfield. Because if you can get control of that midfield and get play moving forward quickly, that's when you're going to get Ozil's and Sanchez's involved in the game a lot more. But if the ball's not getting up there quickly enough, it gives teams like United a chance to get back. And then all of a sudden, he's got no space to move. And if you're Jose Mourinho, which we know that he's a very tactically astute person, and he sets up to stifle teams, the first thing you're going to do is say, don't give Mesut Ozil space, he's too good. That's the first thing you're going to do. And so they were able to effectively do that because we weren't winning the midfield battle. And I don't see Coquelin and El Neni as two enforcers in the midfield that are going to control the game. And I know that sounds strange, but Santi's much better at doing that because he's so good at retaining possession, even with bigger, stronger midfielders around him. He's got such quick feet that he is very difficult to nick the ball off. And he does just have this knack of being able to get out of tight spots. So that's the thing that I think we missed big time in that game against United, was just an ability to control midfield. And we're never going to do that with Coquelin and El Neni. It's not going to happen.
No, I mean, to be fair to El Neni, he's a very good link man, but he hasn't got the widest passing range. Danny, before I come to you for some stats on the game, mate, would I ask for stats early on?
Yes.
Oh, it's you. All right, okay, I'm going to come to you in a second for stats. Mr. Collings, Aaron Ramsey, he had a stinker. Expand.
Yeah, it's difficult for Ramsey at the moment, isn't it? It feels very much like he doesn't fit into the formation of where he's going to play, and I personally don't like him out wide, and I think a lot of people are the same, and feel that he doesn't influence the game from there in the same way that he does for Wales, and obviously we saw at the Euros. I'm going to
stop you there. On the right-hand side last season, our win ratio with Ramsey in the side was like 20-30% higher than it was without him in the side. So, but on this occasion, he's been put out on the left-hand side. We've been attacked down that left-hand side all all season, and he did stink the place out. Let's make no bones about it.
You can understand the rationale for putting him on the left is obviously we've spoken about it before, and Iwobi hasn't given the protection to the left back that's naturally required, and the thought process with having Ramsey there is that more than probably anyone in the entire Arsenal squad, you know from him that he will get up and down, he will provide cover. But you can say about the win percentage with him on the right, but in terms of him influencing the game, okay, arguably the team got better results, but in terms of getting the best out of Aaron Ramsey, even if the win percentage was higher as a team, I don't think that was achieved last season. And we saw in the Euros with Wales, when him and Bale were given a bit more of a license, a bit more freedom, we saw what a brilliant player is. And I just don't feel that inside this Arsenal team, we have the role from yet at the moment. And I think it was something that Wenger was asked about, I think 3 or 4 weeks ago when Ramsey was carrying on his rehab and coming back, and someone said, oh, it's going to be difficult because, obviously Ramsey would like to play number 10 and that's where Ozil plays. And Wenger simply just said, Ozil is the number 10, full stop, essentially. So there's no debate that Ozil will play number 10. Whenever he's fit, Mesut Ozil will be number 10. He's not playing Ozil out wide anymore. Ozil's number 10, and whether that's to do with his contract or Wenger feels that's his place now, that's it. So whether Ramsey drops deeper to play in the 2, that might have to be the solution. But out on the left, we saw at the weekend, I mean, I think he in terms of his work rate and trying to cover Monreal, he did okay, but he just looked so uncomfortable there. And I felt sorry for him, to be honest, because it's clear that Wenger had said to him, look, we need you on the left here. You've got more experience in Iwobi. We need you out on the left. You need to give cover to Monreal. But for me, you're better off just putting Sanchez there and playing Giroud up top, as they did on Wednesday night against PSG. So until Wenger can work out where he fits Ramsey in, we're going to keep talking about it, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things. Like, anybody who listens to this show knows I love Aaron Ramsey. He's a Welshman, etc., etc. But, he didn't have a good game. Because Wales play a slightly different setup, people think he plays number 10 for Wales. He doesn't. He's just a bit more forward, and his best form in an Arsenal shirt has come alongside Mikel Arteta in the 2. But he just looked all sorts out of sorts on Saturday, and it was painful to watch, to be honest with you. Danny, shots on target for United, or shots on goal and then shots on target, and then talk about the amount of shots on goal we had.
Yeah, they had 12 shots in total, 5 were on target. We had 5 and 1 was on target, which was the one that we scored with, which is horrendous considering it's the 89th minute, and that was the only shot we had on goal, and luckily it went in. Bringing Giroud off the bench, did come off the bench. Yeah. Again, he's come off the bench and he's saved us. But I hear what everyone else is saying. I've got nothing else to add to any of that other than the fact that an away draw at Man United with our history is fantastic. It was a shit game, like Dom. I woke up at 4 minutes to 12, gutted to realise it was a 12:30 kickoff. So I spent half an hour arranging the bookmarks on the new laptop, and all using Google Chrome. Fuck Firefox, and I've had enough of that bullshit. And then the game was bullshit, and I went back to sleep until about 7 o'clock when it finished. About 6, just got up in time for Strictly Come Dancing. I do like to live the life. Horrendous, terrible game, dog shit game. But he doesn't go to play decent football, does he? The Man United fans don't even like their own manager and don't like the way they're playing. So that just a club in turmoil. They deserve to win that game by a country mile. Mata was just fantastic. Sometimes you can't play against people that good. And then when he did bring on the substitutes, it didn't really do much. It was I'd have liked to have seen Ibrahimovic play. But he wasn't even on the bench, was he?
He's banned.
I don't know.
He's banned. He was.
Yes, I always like to see him play, but I think even he wouldn't have been able to do anything much more for them. But they're a shit team, and we just had an off day because, like people were saying, the El Neni Coquelin partnership in midfield. I don't think it works.
You say off day, but can you get the stats up for the Borough game of shots on target? Right. So give me an example now of the amount of shots we had against Borough and on target, and then as opposed to what Borough had against us.
Well, we had 10 shots, 6 are on target, and they had 11 and 4 were on target. And our ones who got them on target was with the shots was 4 from Sanchez, 3 from Walcott, Ozil 1, El Neni and Mustafi all had 1. But then against Man United, it was Sanchez with 2, El Neni with 1, and Coquelin with 1. So here we are all moaning that Coquelin and El Neni don't work. Apart from those two, no one else had a shot on goal apart from Sanchez. And Giroud had 1. Yeah, that's on the right-hand side, obviously, because he scored a goal. You're not really going to actually... We could score a goal without having a shot on goal.
No. It's fair comment. I mean, so there's let's be honest. Geoff scored. Let's talk about this a bit further. Borough, a decent side away from home, not setting the world alight, but they were kind of on a par for us for an attacking football when they played us at our place. And we go up to United, we weren't great against Spurs. How do you see Arsene Wenger being able to improve on what we're doing at the moment? How do you see that him changing things at present?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure he needs to change it. I just think that they are going to. We've had some difficult games. The Tottenham game's a tricky game. Again, it's a game that we mustn't lose. That's for our league position, our points, and most of all the fans. And then you go up to Manchester United away. We've already been through that one. I don't think he's necessarily got to change a lot of stuff around. I just think we are desperately missing Santi Cazorla. We found that last season. I honestly do believe that he's cost us winning the league last season, because I'm sure that we'd have won a lot of games that we didn't win last season if we'd have had Santi Cazorla. And unfortunately, since he's been out this season, the same thing seems to have happened. You've highlighted the point that we have a problem in the middle of the park, and I think it was Jason Odom or one of the boys said how heavily influencing Cazorla is in the middle of the park. He's fantastic. He can get you at them tight little spots because he's so two-footed. And once he gets you at that little spot, the space is so open in front of him. He's got the ability to pop balls about, and he just keeps you ticking over. And once he's not in the team, that's where the problem lies. And we really have got to find a solution. That is the one solution that Arsene has got to find to obviously make us tick over again. Nobody knows how long he's going to be out for, which is worrying.
We're going to come to that later, mate. I want to press you a bit more here.
Yeah.
You've mentioned that we miss Santi Cazorla. I'm a big critic about Santi Cazorla. When he's got open shots at target, he just doesn't get them on. Technically wonderful footballer. There's no getting away from that. The ball he played towards Hill against Ludogorets straight over the top was just sensational. Against Swansea, we were on a bit of banter in the box, and some of his play was magical. But let's be fair, okay? And this isn't having a pop at Santi Cazorla here. I want to expand on this throughout the squad, not just him. You would swear we'd never lost a game with Santi Cazorla playing. And let's be honest, we do know, because of his lack of mobility, he has gone missing in big games himself, okay? He's not immune to having a bad game. We have missed him, let's make no bones about it, but there's been a problem with Arsene Wenger, Arsenal sides, for the last 10 years, as far as I'm concerned, in problem solving on the pitch. They do not, and whether we've had plenty of leaders in the teams, but we don't problem solve on the pitch when people set up slightly differently or change things against us. We seem unable to overcome these things. Wenger doesn't seem to do it an awful lot on the side at times either. And how do we change this? How do we empower these guys to be able to problem solve on the pitch, to be able to help each other and overcome issues when things aren't going our way?
Well, I think they all believe in each other. I think they're quality players. Each and every one of them are quality players. But again, it's about when they're on the pitch. I mean, Wenger can only do so much. He'll choose his best team, or what he thinks is his best team for that particular match. He's not going to really alter his style of play because that's not what he does. He does believe, and I criticise him as well, believe it or not. Sometimes I do.
I have heard you, mate. I have heard you.
Yeah, no. Well, people say that I don't never say anything but wrong about Wenger, blah blah blah. But I do believe there are games where you do set up differently, and there are games where you can change it a little bit earlier or whatever. But I just believe that he thinks that if you keep playing the same way, what he says is, well, even if you change it, that might not work. Okay, and he lets the players feel the game on the pitch, like the in-game management is the new phrase, isn't it? He'll let them play and they'll work it as they go along. And generally, 9 times out of 10, we come out on top, and we get through the problems of the 2 banks of 4 or whatever that we play against generally. But against the better teams, against the good sides, they not only defend well, but they can attack as well. And they've got quality players. So these last couple of games, you've got to appreciate that Tottenham, whether you like it or not, they have got some good players, and they are a decent team. They're very, very good going forward, and they're quite good defensively. And the same United, they've got some fantastic players. United, and that they're the games that you have got to be a little bit more cautious. But most of the games, we'll get through it. We do seem to have a problem in that midfield area at the minute where we can't really get the balance right. He keeps on talking about, it's all about the twos, the pairs. If you can get the pairings right, then on each, the left fullback and the left winger or whatever you want to call it, right, and the two on the right hand side, 2 centre halves, etc., etc. If we can get it right, we get the pairings right in the big games, I think we'll be all right. But it's getting and playing together on a regular basis and finding that formula.
That's fair enough, mate. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Shreds, up top, we didn't have the greatest day. You can say a lot of that stemmed from the midfield. But we didn't kind of get the press. We weren't great with the press on Saturday against United. Sanchez, Ozil, Walcott, funny enough, not very effective going forward, but did his job very well defensively. You've got to give him credit. There's been a development in his game. Whereas United seem to hunt us down in packs at times. They chose their moments to say, right, we're gonna win the ball off you. And they were very effective at it. And when they turned the ball over, then when you got the likes of Ander Herrera, Juan Mata, Paul Pogba, the pace of Martial, the pace of Rashford, and Valencia still got bags of pace. They caught us, and they had us. If it wasn't for Peter Cech, we'd have been down a lot earlier. Bearing in mind defence starts from the top, what went wrong?
Yeah, I think our problem is that when we go to press men instead of always necessarily space. I know that might sound confusing to some, but I just feel like we press as individuals, and you'll press a man in your area, but or you'll whoever's closest to the ball will step up, and then that creates space for somebody else to run in for somebody who's not pressing at the same time. And I just don't feel like we don't. You said United pressed in waves and in gangs, and we don't tend to do that. We tend to press in maybe 1 or 2 at a time towards the ball, and that pulls one of our guys out of position, and then it frees up space for the opposition, because I feel the same thing happened against PSG as well. And I think that's where our problem is we're not I know the hipster term right now because of Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool is the Gegenpressing, but I just really feel like, man, it's tough to really see us press consistently as a team in the right areas of the pitch. And I just feel like we're always about 2 or 3 steps behind where we probably should be in that press for it to be effective. And I'm not quite sure if that's down to the way we train on it during the week or the players that we have and their style of defending individually, because you got to take that into account as well. But it's just, I just feel like we always have 1 or 2 going to the ball instead of the team pressing up the field. And if you watch Liverpool at all this year, you watch those Dortmund teams, those classic Dortmund teams under Klopp. It was everybody was stepping up at the same time, all 10 field players moving forward at the same time towards the open space or the man or the ball. And I just don't feel like we've done that effectively. And I'm not privy enough, and maybe Simon or Geoff can speak better to this, but I don't know if it's the way we train or how Wenger sets them up or like I said, just the individuals and their mindset at the time when they're on the pitch, and maybe they're not all on the same page as to when and how to press as a team. So, but it's concerning because we've seen it at times this year where we can press like that. And it's been very effective. And then there are times when it's, we're very Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde on that aspect. We can do it very well on some games. And then some games we look just completely bereft of any sort of pressing prowess at all. So it's very confusing and not quite sure how to go about that. Dom, what would you do to see if that, to fix that? Or do you see the same things I am?
Yeah, definitely. But I think there's the element of just how taxing it is physically to do that for 90 minutes. I don't think in this day and age against these big sides that the problem with doing it is if you don't score and make the chances that you do create, if you don't make them count early, then eventually, like you said, if one player gets caught out and doesn't step up to the right position, then you're going to leave one player of the opposition free, and that's enough to pass through the press, which will leave your defenders high and dry quite often. So there is a little element of that. And I think, the teams that you're mentioning, the Liverpools and the Dortmunds, the thing with Klopp is that that's what he's always done. And it took a little while for the Liverpool players to learn how to do that as well, whereas it's not really something that Arsene has been known for doing. So there are periods of the game. I noticed in the PSG game after halftime, we really came out and pressed, really, really put them under a lot of pressure, and it worked. And I just wonder if at halftime he said, look, you need to go out there and press and put them under some pressure. But unless you're training that way all the time and that's your go-to game plan week after week, Tottenham do it as well, then I'm not sure it's something that you can just sort of decide to do here or there. It definitely seems to be something that it's almost an all or nothing type of tactic.
Sorry, mate. Let me just come in there because for me, there have been times this season when we have been very effective for pressing the ball, and yet in recent weeks it has dropped off.
It depends who you're playing against, Jace, as well. I think that like Geoff said, we've had some really tough games. Tottenham, Man United, PSG. They're big games that if you don't get the press right, you will get absolutely arse raped trying. And we've seen it before. We've gone to Man United and lost 8-2 trying to go all guns blazing and trying to do that kind of tactic before. And this is where I think we've got short memories. We've gone into big games before.
Let's not forget that we started Nico Yanaris, I believe, in that match.
Well,
in Coquelin.
There was a lot of games in these times though that we got absolutely raped, and Arsenal fans were screaming at us saying, "Why can't we have a bit plan B and set up a little more defensive and work into the game? Why do we go guns blazing from the word go and concede early?" And so there must be an element of that in the back of his mind as well, that he doesn't want to go into these games trying to do that and conceding early because you're on the back foot instantly.
Yeah, no. I think that's.
I think Dom did make a good point, with regard to Tottenham and Liverpool and their respective managers. Those guys that's how they play their football. They focus on that press and the press and the press, and it does definitely, as you see at the back end of last season, it does. Maybe the last 8 games take it out of you, and you just hit a brick wall. And a lot of the players that play for those teams, they seem to drop off a little bit. But it's Arsenal. And it's the type of thing, once you're playing that game, you have got to practice and practice and practice, because everybody has got to do it together. You've all got to press together. And you can imagine how many hours on the training pitch. Not only did the guys that are going to be playing, most of the games, but the guys that are coming and replacing them. Because if one player don't press and the ball pops in behind you, you're in trouble. You're banging trouble because you've got 3 or 4 players, ahead of the ball. And, it's difficult. So I'm not sure Arsene has got the time, you've either got to do one or the other, I think. I think we do it in the smaller games where you can have a little bit of a gamble against teams that haven't got that particular quality where they're great on the ball and they can pass the ball round you. You can maybe nick it off them a little bit easier, or they haven't got the confidence to do that, so they'll just knock it long and give you the ball back. So it's a difficult balance. Some teams you can, some teams you can't. You can't do it against a team like Barcelona because they'll ruin you. And the same goes with a lot of them good footballing teams.
The other thing about it too, Geoff, I just want to mention real quick, Jace, is the fact that I think, PSG did it well to us, and the fact that you could tell that they had been schooled in it. The great teams, as soon as the ball's turned over and they lose possession, all their players know exactly where to go to press correctly. And I think we're so focused on attack that when we lose the ball, we drop back a little bit, give them more space. So we're not winning the ball. Even when we do press, I just don't feel like we win the ball up the pitch far enough that we can utilize it like a lot of the other teams. And so it takes us a little bit longer. And then when we do finally succeed, we've got a 10 to 15 more yards to go in the attack. But I do feel like it does. There are games like you look at, I think Sunderland it was when we won 4-1. I mean, we pressed the hell out of them. They just gave the ball up. So it does come down to the opposition you're playing. And I mean, like Geoff said earlier, I mean, you got Juan Mata's great on the ball, and United's got some really good players, as does Tottenham, and obviously PSG with the way that Verratti kept the ball against us. It really all does depend on who you're playing.
No, I think there's some great points, lads. Let's wrap up United, and I'm going to finish where I started with Mr. Collings. Simon, as has been mentioned, Arsene Wenger made the substitutes, brings on Oxlade-Chamberlain to right back, and brings on Oli Giroud. Sanchez comes out to the left. Xhaka and Ramsey in the middle at the end, or was it just Ramsey in the middle? I can't remember. But a player who has taken a lot of stick, and deservedly so at times, and who you can see as a confidence player in Oxlade-Chamberlain. He really grasped that right back role. And Oli Giroud, who has a roller coaster time with Arsenal fans again, what a header. It was a fantastic counter-attack. Ox does brilliantly and looks up and delivers heads-up football and a brilliant cross, and what a finish. How did that make you feel?
Oh, I mean, it was a brilliant goal from Giroud. And I think for him personally, during that international break, he as is often the case when players go back to their countries, it's an opportunity to speak to the media without a club press officer. You can pretty much say what you want. And he was speaking to L'Équipe and saying he was frustrated, not in the team. Obviously, Wenger decided that he needed a bit extra rest after the Euros. And for him, not starting, it justified, those comments to come on and score the goal. And the fact that Ox set it up as well, I think is a big thing for him, because obviously, he's fallen out of the England side. He's fallen out of the Arsenal team. And I think this is a big season for the Ox, because he spoke earlier on a few months ago that he needs to decide basically come the summer whether he's going to stay at Arsenal, whether he's going to leave, because he can't keep being an impact player, because he's getting to that age, 23, 24. You're no longer a youngster. You're no longer developing. You need to be coming into the peak of your game. And it's difficult because obviously Walcott started the season so well. Now Ramsey's back. Looks like he's going to be forced to play out wide. And Iwobi's sort of stolen in there ahead of the Ox as well as another wide player. And for him, he's looking at, how do I get in this team? So it might be a case of the Ox has to come on and do things like that. And I think he was harsh not to start against PSG, which we'll obviously come on to. After coming off the bench, making an impact and setting up the equaliser, you'd think you've justified a place to start. Like Giroud got his goal, he gets his start. You think with the Ox getting assist, he gets his start. But I think for both players, it's a crucial 3 months, really. Certainly for me, I prefer it when Giroud plays up top and Alexis out wide. I just feel that in terms of a pivot and for the attack to play off him, when Giroud's up there, I feel he brings the best out of Ozil and Sanchez, because he can hold the ball up and he can bring them in. I just feel sometimes with Sanchez that he comes so deep, certainly against Man United towards the end. He's almost near the halfway line because he wants the ball. He wants to try and influence the game. But when he does that, there's no one to fill that space for the centre-backs, and they can just push the whole team up, and it gets very congested. So looking forward, I think if Giroud can continue his goal-scoring form, then for me, that's still the way to play. And as for the Ox, he's going to have to hope for his opportunity, and whether that means an injury to someone like Walcott and he can get in on that right. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult. And as he said, a few months ago, come the summer, he's probably going to have a decision to make about whether he wants to stay at Arsenal or not.
Well, this is the thing with the Ox. I mean, if you go back to the Tottenham game, there's an opportunity to put a cross in, and he takes a shot and skies it, and he looked like he's going to cry. And I feel for him because he's
a big confidence player, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, and it was nice to see him contribute there. And what a way to finish the game! Like you guys have said, it almost felt like let's be honest, it wasn't a victory. It was a poor performance. We were awful in the day, but getting that late point, you could see Mourinho's face. You could see the hurt, the frustration. It was beautiful to see him. He can go fuck himself. He's a cunt.
Just a final word quickly on the Ox.
Yeah.
Obviously he's come on at right back a bit and he's played there a little. There was a story it was about sort of June time, maybe end of July, that Manchester City were linked with the Ox. Some people might have seen that, and apparently the thought process there from Guardiola is that he would have bought the Ox and played him as a right back. So interesting. I know perhaps long term he won't be there for Arsenal, but if he did move, and you know what Guardiola's like with moving players about and stuff, that he might see someone like the Ox like that. So, been an interesting thing to keep an eye on.
I didn't realise that. Okay, right. Okay, so that's United. That's wrapped that up. On to PSG, and we are going to the mighty Geoff Arsenal for how he saw that game. Geoff?
Very interesting. I mean, it was eagerly awaited with regard to, in inverted commas, the two best teams in the group. When the group was made up, those two teams should be vying for the top spot. They both come into the game knowing that they had quite comfortably got through to the next stage, and it was just all about who was going to do what on that particular night. I mean, I looked at the team sheets before the game, and I looked right through both the team sheets, and I think the two teams was quite evenly matched all over the pitch with offensive players and good defensive players. Both teams had very, very good players again on the pitch. I mean, PSG have got a host of top players, and it was interesting. The game, I think we give them a little bit too much space. Again, we're talking about the pressing game. I don't think we got at them. I mean, normally at home, we go full blast for the first 10 or 15 minutes and try and rattle the team and try and get an early goal or something. Well, I think we was a little bit subdued last night. We gave way too much respect to PSG early doors. They had a lot of the play, a couple of decent little chances, but then we come to the goal. And I was sitting right on the halfway line in the lower tier. I never normally sit on the lower tier, but on the halfway line behind the dugout, and I could see clearly what was going on with that first goal. I think, and it's creeping in. I don't know whether you guys feel the same, but I like Mustafi. He's great on the ball. He's a defender, and he's here to defend. But I've seen a few mistakes coming into his game and he's cost us goals and cost us times where he's nearly cost us more goals. And again last night I think he was really at fault with that. I mean, the lad, there was no pressing on the ball at that goal, and he's trying to play offside with his arm up. He should really, you've got to get goal side, and he let the player get alongside him and then go beyond him. It was a great through ball, and he was left in no man's land. And I see a little bit of when Tommy Vermaelen, he joined us. He was brilliant at the start, his first 8, 10, 14 games or something like that. And then just a tiny little mistake started coming into his game. And once they come into your game, you lose a little bit of confidence. And I think he was affected last night after that first goal. I think he was affected. I think he knows it was his problem. And it definitely affected his game. Apart from that, again, the middle of the park, we missed Santi Cazorla, I thought, but then we got a goal back, but then when we went 2-1 up, I think that again it's the in-game management. I honestly do believe at 2-1 against a good side like PSG, you got to sometimes just lock it down and just get hold of the ball and keep possession. Just waste time, keep possession. Don't go. You haven't got to chase that third goal, but that's what we do. We keep on and we keep on trying and we keep on chasing the third goal. That third goal to take us clear. Because generally Arsenal do need 3 or 4 goals to make us feel comfortable. Where we got caught going upfield again, and I think it was Sanchez tried to play a ball to Ozil. Again, Sanchez had given the ball away far too much. He gave the ball away. They come down the other end of the pitch, and they scored an unfortunate goal for Iwobi, but it was a goal that it really took the shine off of what would have been a really, really good night. But again, it's the way Wenger sets them out. Again, it's another criticism I do have about the manager, if I've got any. I just wish that he would ground into them the importance of, if you go 2-1 up in a really, really important game, you haven't got to go and get that third goal. If you're good enough and you've got good players on the pitch and you educate them well enough, you just sit tight. They've all got ability on the ball. They just pass it around teams and keep wasting time. And if you can get a chance up top, then you can go. But you can't keep on taking 4 or 5 players out of your half upfield trying to win the game. So I was disappointed in that we didn't hold on to the 2-1 lead, but they're a good side, PSG, and I think they was well worth a draw.
Okay. Dom, I'm coming to you next. The lack of a press last night at any point in the first half annoyed me daft. I was angry last night because they're playing 3 in midfield, and I thought Verratti on the night was absolutely superb. What a player.
Yeah.
But you're giving them so much space. You got Thiago Motta pushing up, no pressure on him. They've outnumbered us, and especially for the first goal. They had carte blanche to be able to pass around the midfield. Coughlin and Ramsey, they got no hope there because there's so many options for them. And, it was so easy for PSG. Talk me through that, mate.
I thought the first 20 minutes in particular, we were really, really poor positionally. I know that it's going to sound like I've got an agenda against Coughlin, but I love it when he's playing next to Cazorla because he sits back and does all the things that he's good at doing. But for the first 20 minutes, he was quite often well ahead of Ramsey, and Ramsey was the deepest midfielder, which is not really what you want to be seeing. You want Coughlin back protecting that area of the pitch because that's what he's best at doing. And he did give the ball away a few times, and it was Ramsey getting back and tracking back and making some last-ditch tackles and doing some defensive stuff. So I just thought we were all a little bit out of sorts, and I'm not sure if he is being told to push up and press high or what's happening, but he was getting forward when we had possession of the ball in their end, and it just confuses me a little bit as to, like you said, the lack of press, but when he was getting forward, it was when we had possession of the ball, not when they had possession of the ball. So they've got some fantastic players in that midfield. Matuidi's an exceptionally good player. He's a very hard player. They had Krychowiak just sitting back, shielding space, not really letting Ozil get near the ball. Like you said, Verratti, he is just an exceptionally talented little player. Very much sort of like a more mobile, a little bit more aggressive Santi Cazorla, probably not quite as skillful on the ball, but not far off it. And yeah, I mean, look, and Motta, Thiago Motta, he's fantastic on the ball as well. They just have so many good ball-playing footballers that it's difficult that if you do try that full-on press like we spoke about earlier, they could easily pass the ball around that press and leave the defenders high and dry, which is almost what happened for their first goal, where Mustafi completely got turned the wrong way, and then all of a sudden they're in behind us really quickly. So it was a little bit too easy to pass for them to get the ball up to their forwards to cause a little bit of mischief. But I thought that the second half in particular was when there was a little bit of a change in our approach to the game. And I think that even PSG were a little shocked at just how much we were pressing and how little time they had on the ball. And it did work for a period of that second half, which really helped us get back into the game. But like Geoff said, towards the end of the game, the in-game management probably wasn't quite there. And I think he's right. I think we're quite capable of sitting back, sitting deep, soaking up pressure, clearing the ball time and again, and seeing if you can spring a little counter-attack here or there with a long ball over the top to somebody. But, the onus was on PSG to score, and they made some substitutions, bringing on Ben Arfa. You could see that the emphasis was very much for them to attack. We didn't need to do that. So the fact that we still were playing a similar game, giving them lots of space, is a little disappointing. I would love to see us sit back, park the bus, and try to soak up a little bit of pressure. Albeit that the goal came from a set piece, but the header that came in was it was Lucas, wasn't it? He was just unmarked. I mean, I don't know how you can, at that stage of the game, not have anybody in that area when it comes to a set piece. I'm sure a lot of the blame will go to Iwobi, but I don't think the header should have come in that easily in the first place.
Yeah, zonal marking's an issue. For the first goal, nobody's on Cavani. We know how great his movement is. Kris must have been big sick when he saw Cavani score again.
He did have him down his first goal scorer, though.
He would, wouldn't he?
He did, for that very reason.
Yeah. But again, you can talk about zonal marking. It does work for a lot of teams. There are a lot of top managers who use it, but we've been caught twice. Shreds. Both goals. The first goal, I did feel, because of the lack of press, no pressure on the ball, they're able to pass it around. They get into Matuidi and the byline, and it goes across. And, I'm not sure whose job it is to pick up Cavani there, but, Koscielny and Gibbs were nowhere near him. On the second goal, I don't know how tall Lucas is, but he's not the tallest. Jenko kind of gets his position a bit wrong. And for all people who want to have a pop at Iwobi, I thought he was poor last night. He did, gave the ball away. Things didn't go right for the poor bugger. But it's horrible in that position. And anybody who's played sport knows that sometimes you get caught in a movement and you can't do much about it. And it's ended badly for us. The two goals we've conceded, how did you see them? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'll keep this kind of short because I don't think there's a lot else to it other than just sloppy. Sloppy defending to leave Cavani open in a box to slot the ball home, and sloppy defending off of a set piece again to allow a free header there. I think that's sort of my whole feeling about the entire PSG games. We were just sloppy. We were sloppy in possession, sloppy in defense, sloppy going forward. To allow two goals like that, and yeah, they're a good team. And so you can't afford to make the mistakes that we did, and we got burnt on it. And now we're having to go into Basel, having to required to put in a good performance to come out on top of our group, which is massively important. No, but I think it's a big confidence boost for us if we do finish on top of the group, which would be good going into a tough December. So it's just sloppy, and it's I hate to have to say it, but it's just sort of same old Arsenal. Seems like when we do concede, it's the same old things that have happened to us for years. And then when we have those great games, we're like, yeah, we've turned the corner. The good news is the difference from a few years ago, though I will say, to contradict myself here, a few years ago we would lose a game like that. Now we're drawing games. We're still getting a point, so that's positive, and we've got that. We're playing poorly and still getting decent results. So hopefully we can start to put a run of form together throughout December and January, and really put the gas pedal to the floor here and start to pick up a lot more points and start to play a little bit better, especially as we get some of these guys coming back.
Cool. Okay. Danny, Danny.
Oh, you woke me up. Jesus.
Oh, shut up, you
Oh, we
tart.
finished.
Look, you were on the radio show last night. I've
I
listened to all
was.
of your thoughts.
Yes.
You're such a git at times.
Someone here, I'm not saying who it was, Simon, but Lucas is about the height of Kris, 4'5"-ish. I'm not saying who did that, Simon, because Kris will get angry.
You know what? When I met Kris the first time, I thought I'd seen him before in The Hobbit. I really did. Okay, you know, he's not a tall man, and
You just look straight over him.
Is that because he also had hairy bare feet?
No comment. You know, the boy doesn't like a haircut. Let's be fair.
Waste of money.
Exactly.
Spend that money on hair product instead.
Yeah, we can dye your hair red. You can dye your hair blonde. You can do all sorts of things.
Oh, Indie Kris, we do miss him.
Yeah.
Kris.
Oh, they're calling the wank sock. I'll be back. Danny, the penalty.
Which one?
No.
The actual penalty, or the one before that wasn't, and the one after that was just a, as we discussed last night, it was about as good a penalty as the one that we got.
Look, let's be honest. The one with Ramsey, I thought some Kris and John Welsh were bang on. They've come together.
They were.
You know, everybody's gonna try to claim it, but no way. The one with Cavani, I mean, I'll come on to the Cavani business a bit later, because obviously at half-time there was a little bit of...
I'll have to turn the swear filter on for that.
Sorry?
I'll have to turn the swear filter on for that.
You may have to. Dan, the Sanchez, did he look for it? Was it a penalty? Did he dive? Tell me, how do you see it?
Well, definitely a penalty, and if it had been the other way around, which is always the best way to look at penalties, yes, I think if it had been the other way around and they'd have been given a penalty, I wouldn't have gone, oh my god, that's disgraceful. He was kind of running away from goal. He didn't take out his standing leg. He hit his trailing leg, but his trailing leg was trailing for a reason, and then he kind of slipped with his forward leg. How many legs has this man got? He sounds like a spider. Oh, I hate spiders. So yeah, looked like a penalty. Glad he got a penalty, and if we wouldn't have got that, then I think that knocked their confidence for the second half, because when they come out for the second half, they were not up for it. And for the next 10, 15 minutes of the second half, we ran them ragged. It went right up from about 30-odd% percentage. And at one point, we were up to 51%, 30-odd percent at the end of the first half. And it's up to 50-odd by the 10, 15 minutes into the second half. So that was crucial. And I was surprised that Giroud took it, but no fucking around. Bang, left foot, bottom left-hand corner-ish. And why the goalkeeper thought a left-footed player who I think he's got a stump on his right foot. He doesn't even have a right foot, does he? He's not like old Santi Cazorla. I'll say his name properly, because fuck me, someone should do. Yeah, so it's good that he took it, but I'd have thought there'd have been Sanchez and Ozil would have been ahead of him.
Sanchez and Ozil have both missed big penalties in big games. You know, let's be honest, okay? They haven't got the best track record in penalties. This season, Santi Cazorla has been ice cold from the penalty spot. He's been really admirable from there. But I thought Ollie Giroud last night, he was never going to miss that. As soon as he stood up for that penalty, obviously there'd been the incident with Ramsey beforehand and Cavani. You know, okay, it's handbags. Let's be fair. You know, but you're not allowed to raise your hand on the pitch. It's an instant red card. Nothing gets done about it. Should Ramsey have gone down?
Still talking to me?
Yeah, I'm still talking to you on this.
For those who didn't see the radio show last night, go watch it, because not only was I hosting and did a fine job, if I do say so. No, it was quite funny. But we had the point of if in life you do turn the other cheek, or you don't do what they do to you, does it make it right? Now, it's guaranteed that if Ramsey would have hit Cavani like that, Cavani would have had to be stretchered off. Now, he didn't. He just looked at him, considered it, and went, no, I'm a proud Welshman. I'm not going down like a bitch, so he didn't. But it doesn't make
he let the referee know his hand had been raised, to be fair. Yeah. He did let the referee know, you know.
But later
but
on,
you would, wouldn't you? I mean, of course you would.
Go on.
Oh, yeah, look, don't get me wrong. I would in that position.
But is it wrong to carry on doing this, to not go down? Because straight away after, or a little while after, Cavani tried to go down for a penalty. And so he dived, and they were diving all night. So should we do this? Should we keep on turning the other cheek and go, no, we're not going to dive because it could cost us the game? I mean, personally, I think he did the right thing, but or getting players sent off like Verratti when he got Giroud sent off in the first leg.
Yeah.
Or is it called a leg or game?
Yeah, but in the first one, wasn't Verratti pushed from behind? That was the problem in the first one. He was pushed from behind, and there was all sorts. Okay, let's go around the table on this. Simon, should Ramsey have hit the deck and made the most of it?
No.
Dom?
You know what's strange is I wouldn't want Ramsey to do it, but if Sanchez hit the deck, it wouldn't bother me so much. I know that doesn't make any sense because the South American thing is a little more accepted there to do that sort of thing. So I would have been surprised if Ramsey had done it, but I wouldn't have been surprised if someone like Sanchez had gone down for it.
I get that. I get where you're coming from. Geoff?
I'm just disappointed none of the officials saw it because it definitely is a sending off offence in today's game, isn't it?
You shouldn't have to jump on the ground, should you? That's the point here, is that you shouldn't have to jump on the ground to get the referee to react.
Okay, fair play. Shredder, should Ramsey have gone down?
No.
Excellent. Okay, that's cleared that up. So the guy's done the right thing.
What do you think, Jace?
No, you do not give the fuckers the satisfaction. You do not sink to that level. It's they may do it to you, but have a bit of fucking pride in yourself.
He should have at least got a yellow, though.
Oh, look, he should have been sent off. There's no bones about it. It's a red card offence. You're not allowed to raise your hands.
Ramsey moved back a bit, didn't he? So he would have had more of a contact. He could have.
You can't get a yellow. You've either got to get a red or nothing at all, is it?
We remember, boys, Eric Abidal grabbing the Van Cunt by the neck against Barcelona in front of the referee, gets nothing, okay, absolutely nothing. He's grabbed him by the throat, and then Van Persie gets sent off for what? Kicking the ball as the whistle's been blown.
Even though he couldn't fucking hear it.
Exactly. We've been screwed over so much by this, but we do not give them the satisfaction. We do not. We have a bit of pride in ourselves.
That's the British stiff upper lip. We'll beat you in the end.
Well,
the British and the Australian and the American, that's different.
But let's not
back that up.
let's not get into nationalities on this. I just that's what I believe. Okay, but
you only care because he's Welsh. I mean, I've just seen
no. On the flip side of it, I was so chuffed to see Oli Giroud after nailing the penalty, grabbing Cavani by the neck, going down that tunnel, going, "Oi, fuck face. You're having it soon. You carry on like that." I thought that was a great credit to Giroud.
And he got the best Opta rating for all of the Arsenal players. It was 7.4. If you're interested, the one who got the worst was Iwobi with a 5.7 and an own goal. Not his fault, really.
He had a shocker. Yeah, look, let's be fair. Alex Iwobi had a shocker last night. Anybody who thinks he was anywhere near decent is kidding themselves because the poor bugger, nothing went right for him.
Gabby's reaction when he went to the bench was pretty good too. I don't know if anybody's seen that.
Yeah. No, all credit to him as well. Yeah, you're very right.
Hey, look, Gabby should have been sent off for what he did to him. Fucking, he'll see that monster coming over your shoulder. He probably shit himself.
Look, let's keep away from that. Okay, so second half we come out, and Simon, we had a bit about us.
Yeah, I just think that goal right before half time changed the reflection of the match, I think, and it gave the team the confidence that sometimes I think they lack a bit. And I know against PSG it is very difficult to assert itself on the game, and we've spoken about it, but I mean, Verratti was absolutely fantastic. I just thought, he's brilliant. I know we talk about Cazorla, and
but he was
world class. I mean, he's a fantastic player, and you think they bought him 4 years ago for 12 million euros. I mean, I wonder what he's worth now, but he's a fantastic player. And to be fair to Ramsey, if you look back over the game and watch Ramsey play, he does get into Verratti as much as he can. And I think as a team, once they did that and tried to nullify him, we grew into the match. And we've spoken about it, but when that goal goes in, it just needs someone there. In the old days, it would have been someone like Tony Adams or Patrick Vieira just sort of shouting and saying, look, sit in here, come on, get tight, let's get compact. And we don't concede now, we take it 2-1. Because Wenger, he's always said this, he doesn't govern the dressing room very much. He leaves it to the players to do it. It's something you listen to Keown or Dixon, players like that. He very much left that to the players to do it. But if you compare that to someone like Antonio Conte or Pep Guardiola and look at them on the sideline, you can imagine if Arsenal had gone 2-1 up and Antonio Conte's on the sideline managing, he'd have been going absolutely mental, shouting about where players want to drop in and stuff. And it was just a bit of naivety, I think, from Arsenal, and it was sloppy. I mean, for me, I think Iwobi can. It's like he almost ducks out the way of it. I don't know whether he thinks Ospina's coming, so he tries to sort of get out of the way of the header because he wants to let him save it, or it was just frustrating. But I don't give him all the blame, because at the end of the day, it's a free header. So it's
let's be fair. Look, I mean, playing rugby, I've seen it before where somebody's passed me the ball. I can see the guy coming up for the intercept, and I've still passed it because I'm halfway through that motion. That's the decision I made, and it happens a lot in all sports. Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's the man who's not marking him's fault, I think, mainly, because Luke shouldn't be free. So I mean, that's.
There's a lot to be said for there. I mean, that was just a calamity. Let's talk about the midfield. Dom. Coughlin was playing higher up, as he has been a lot this season. And Aaron Ramsey was the deep-lying player. Some very interesting stats from last night. How did you see it?
Well, I think it was the first 20 minutes that Coughlin definitely got forward a lot more. And then after that, it seemed that things kind of went back to Ramsey sort of being more the central player and Coughlin sitting back a little bit more. But I think, neither of them were defensive. Neither of them sat in front of the back four all game, which is what I think people are crying out for Granit Xhaka to be in the team for. I don't think it works when you have two players in central midfield that don't really know whether they're supposed to. I mean, that's where the partnerships come into it. That's where Coughlin and Cazorla does work, because Coughlin knows if he goes pissing off up the pitch, then there's no way Santi's going to do anything defensively. He's a small player. He's not an athletic player. He's not known for, crunching tackles or breaking up play or being physical. So I'm not sure if that's why or what happens, but as soon as he's next to an El Neni or a Xhaka or a Ramsey, all of a sudden Coughlin's positioning is completely different. And statistically, I know that people have got their agenda against Aaron Ramsey, but he was by far our best player. By far our best player. He did it all over the pitch. He had 12 ball recoveries. He was absolutely everywhere. He was close to scoring a goal with a little Sanchez chip over to the back post. He's the type of player, I think Simon was saying it before, I've seen him play number 10 for Arsenal maybe twice. I don't really know where this Ramsey being a number 10 thing comes from. It's the same thing with, I don't like him out wide. I don't think it works, but we have very short memories with the kid, because I remember him being forced out onto the right-hand side. Him and Jack Wilshere were both taking turns in playing on a right wing at one point early on a few years ago. And then Wilshere got injured and Ramsey was moved to central midfield next to Arteta. And he put in some of the most amazing midfield performances I've seen from an Arsenal shirt. And that's including, going back as far as maybe, Cesc Fabregas since that. I mean, before that, it's a little different because we played differently. But the kid was unbelievable for those 16 games. And Geoff mentioned earlier last year, Santi's injury cost us probably a chance at the title. I think everyone forgets that Aaron Ramsey's injury that season probably cost us a chance at the title too. The guy was doing it everywhere. He was scoring and assisting, but it was he getting back as well. Even last year, where he wasn't that fantastic and he wasn't playing much central midfield because of Santi and he had injuries, he was still our leading tackler for the season. So people seem to forget that the guy's engine is so elite that he can do it at both ends of the pitch. And what Arsene Wenger did earlier was put him out on the right-hand side when he was coming back from that, the horrible injuries that he had, until he had his fitness at a point where he could play the central midfield role, because the way that he plays it is all action. He's not going to be somebody that sits like a Santi because that he doesn't have the same skill set. So I'm just hoping that what Arsene's been doing by trying to, what it looks to us is force Ramsey into the side, is just get him back playing again, get him back, using his feet, getting fitness up again, and then sticking him in the centre of midfield, because I genuinely believe that when that kid's on form, he is our best option right now. He is by far a more talented player than El Neni, and he's by far a more talented player than Francis Coughlin. And so what I think the team needs is that he's He scored 16 games. Didn't he have something like 10 goals and 6 assists or something ridiculous like that for that period of time? And that was next to Arteta, and it was either Santi Cazorla or Mesut Ozil were taking turns at the number 10. He wasn't playing number 10. Arsene Wenger has said it himself. I like Ramsey playing midfield, starting deep, making late runs into the box. And he has said that in interviews, but we all conveniently forget it because people have got agendas on the guy. And if this is the other thing that I'd love to kind of ask you guys. If Ramsey was playing for Madrid or Barcelona or one of these Spanish teams, I mean, this is the comment that I think is hilarious, that, well, if Madrid come in for an offer for Ramsey, we should sell him because he's not good enough for us. I mean, that's just a whole load of irony that I don't really understand. That somehow Real Madrid are going to want him, but he's not good enough for Arsenal. But that's irrelevant. But the guy, if he was playing for one of these huge teams, and we bought him after the Euros that he had, where he was one of the best players at the Euros, and Arsene Wenger was sticking him out on the wing, who would we be mad at? Ramsey for his shit performances, or Arsene Wenger for putting him there?
I think that's a good point.
That's the thing that I think people have gotten so used to slagging the guy that they've completely forgotten how good the guy can be in midfield. I know that Shredder wants to jump in on this and probably tell you that
I'm actually gonna, before we go to shreds on this, I'm gonna lay out a couple of things here, because we were gonna do this after the PSG game, but it's the perfect time. Geoff, I'm gonna come to you first on this, okay? Then we're gonna go to Shredder, and then we're gonna go to Simon. Aaron Ramsey, the last 3 seasons, 32 goals. A guy who, very much like Jack Wilshere, shows great bravery on the pitch, always looks for the ball, never hides. And we do have players in our team who have hidden. Let's make no bones about it. Jack Wilshere and Ramsey never hide. 32 goals in 3 seasons. Plays wherever the manager asks him to. Will happily say, I prefer playing through the middle, but never moans and bitches, and always goes out there. Some of the stuff I've seen on social media this week has fucking sickened me. I've got to be honest, these people are fucking morons. They're watching a different sport to me. I've seen him be accused of stifling Ozil. I've seen him be accused of playing for himself, not caring. I've even seen a Twitterati, Glitterati, who I thought was supporting West Ham nowadays anyway, blame him for the performance against Spurs when he wasn't even fucking playing. Right up? That's how bad.
That's how you know when the agenda's taking over the facts and your objective view of the game, isn't it? Which is what I'm saying earlier. That if you were objective, he was our best player against PSG.
Oh, by a mile, okay. But my point to Geoff would be, when you can see before the PSG game, people willing him to fail,
waiting for him to make a mistake,
or they rub in their hands. How does Aaron Ramsey react to this, Geoff? You talk me through how you see this.
You think he gives a fuck about what people say about him on social media? He's at one of the best football clubs in the world, plying his trade. He's getting a shitload of money. He's got a lovely wife indoors with her. I think he's got a daughter now. His life's superb. He's not gonna. I mean, and these people, half of these, 99% of these people have never played professional football in their life. They've mostly never even played at a decent amateur fucking level. So how he's not going to take any notice of them. That's why, we've all got opinions on social media and they're all accepted. That's fair enough. But some people don't talk a lot of shit. And the guys that are waiting in the wings to criticise Ramsey and Theo and whoever they fancy for that particular week, they're the same guys that, I'm not saying they want, but they're waiting for Arsenal to fail again. Because they just like something to argue and moan about. And it's frustrating.
I'll give you the flip side on this now, okay? Against Man United, Ramsey was poor. Let's make no bones about it.
I don't think he was poor. I think we was all under the weather.
Look, I'm a massive Ramsey fan. I love the guy, okay? But I thought he was poor against United. But the vitriol that gets aimed at him on a regular basis, and it's been happening for years. He's been booed at the ground. You know, I'm, you know.
Yeah, tell you what it is. He's just come back from another injury layoff. How long was he out for? 10 weeks or something? 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it was. Played a lot of games in that time. Start of the season again, he's out. You know, and he's come back. He's great. These games are great big games again to come straight into, and he's got to hit the ground running. Pardon the cliche. You know, and the problem is with Rambo is he's another one of those players. He's so versatile. It's most probably working against him. If he was a bog standard right back and he could only play at right back, he'd most probably play right back. But because he can play right across that midfield, you know, that's. I mean, he has this season already played right across the midfield, and he hasn't even played. You know, so well, he hasn't really had. Yeah, it's true. He's played all across the midfield, and he's only played 4 or 5 games, I suppose, hasn't he?
That leads right into my point, Geoff, is the fact that in the Premier League of everybody, he's only got 189 minutes. Like let's think about that. 189 minutes for a player like Ramsey. He needs minutes to find his form. Like, let's stop slating the guy. He's coming back off an injury. Like, yeah, it's taken him a little time to get going, but come on, like we're so short-sighted and myopic with these players that they have one bad game, and it's a lot of it's the social media, and like Geoff can tell you just how idiotic people are on social media. It's the right here and the right now, and if he has a bad game, he's the worst player ever. And then when he scores and wins the FA Cup for you, he's an Arsenal legend, and he should never leave the club. And the problem is we got to be a lot more objective with our criticism and our praise of our players as well. And if he has a bad game, I'll be like, oh, he had a bad game, but that doesn't mean he's a bad player. Bad games don't equal bad players. Now, if it's a player who over 5 to 10 years continues to give the ball away and we lose games because of him, yes, okay, maybe that's not the player for us. But at the same time, I don't remember the last time Aaron Ramsey lost a game for us. I don't remember the last time Aaron Ramsey scored 4 own goals to have us go down. So I think, like, in the Premier League, 189 minutes. Let's take a look at the Champions League as well. And what I want to say, it's even fewer. 165 minutes. So let's give the guy some time to find his form. We know it's there. He's just got to find it, and he's got to get those minutes to get under his belt so that he can be crisp and sharp and not always have to try to find his way into a match or try to find his fitness. Let's be a little patient with the guy, because we all know exactly what he's capable of.
So I've got a quick question.
Go on, Dom. Sorry, I beg your pardon.
Just quick question for everyone. With Santi Cazorla out, who's everybody's 2 midfielders that they would pick?
Xhaka and Ramsey.
Me too. What about Jace?
Where the fuck is Granit Xhaka? That's all I want to know.
Yeah,
well, actually, Simon, you have your say on Ramsey and then go on to the Xhaka business. Let's get this out in the open. We'll finish off the PSG game after we've done this section, and then we'll go on to listeners' questions.
I mean, with Ramsey, I agree with everything everyone said about him so far, and Shreds makes a great point about the lack of minutes, and instantly people are judging him. I just feel in that too, as Don was saying, he's got the legs to do that, and I thought against PSG was superb, and mainly for what Don was saying, his recovery of the ball and winning the tackles. I think this idea of the number 10 and I think it's him wanting to play there seems to be the suggestion that he wants to play further forward. But as we know with Aaron Ramsey, he'll play wherever he wants for the team. And I think he'll fit in best in that too, I think, where you can have more influence on the game. You can utilise his engine. And for me, that's where you play him alongside Granit Xhaka when there's no Santi Cazorla. And where Granit Xhaka is, it baffles me a bit. It feels almost a bit like the Mkhitaryan situation at Man United, where, I mean, this is a player that Arsenal have spent £30 million on. I mean, that's only sort of the 3rd time Arsenal have done that, spent that money. He started 8 games for Arsenal. We've won 6 of those and drawn 2, and he can't get in the team. I mean,
he hasn't had a bad performance either.
And against Watford, he was absolutely superb.
But against Tottenham, he was good, wasn't he? He was decent against Tottenham.
I don't understand. There must be something going on. We can discuss it, what we think it is. But what I noticed last night was there was towards the end when it must be 87th, 88th minute. There was a break going, and Xhaka had the ball, and he played that big ball out left to try and put Sanchez in. The ball went straight out for a throw, and there was 2 players on the right, and Wenger was going nuts. And you don't obviously Wenger get angry, but it was shouting, going, "There's 2 men there on the right." And I just wonder whether there's something with Wenger he's not quite clicking with Xhaka and how Xhaka wants to play, and there's obviously something not right there, because you can't spend £30 million on a player and not play them. We're not Manchester City, we're not Chelsea. Arsenal can't do that. And you wouldn't spend £30 million on a player if you didn't think they were an upgrade in what you have.
I remember.
So that's what surprises me, and I think you compliment Ramsey.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Arteta-Ramsey situation, going back 3 years ago, where Arteta's legs were on the way out at that point. He was not the player he had been, unfortunately. But those two, we lost some games, and we went that calendar year as the top team in the Premier League, and those two were a big part of it in the middle. But the point we made about Wenger going bananas about him not playing at the right, I remember seeing that. That's quite interesting. Shredder, come in on Xhaka.
Yeah, I agree a lot with Simon on this. And if you listen to the radio show last night, our good friend Indy Kris made a point about other teams spending £30 million and not playing not playing those £30 million players. The problem is those teams spend 30 million pounds on shit players, and we've spent 30 million pounds 4 times in the last few years, and the 3 other players are guaranteed first teamers, first 11 every single match. Arsenal is not a team that's going to spend 30 million players for a reserve player. Granit Xhaka, I even believe he should be starting beside Cazorla, because the range of passing that he could provide, along with the technical ability beside Cazorla, would be unbelievable. Obviously, we don't have that luxury right now with Cazorla's injury, but I think a lot of people have an issue with his mobility. I know that's been the big criticism. He has to use those last-ditch tackles that get him those cards, because he's not quick enough. The one thing I'll say,
I don't know. I think he's very cynical, and I loved it about him. I loved it about him.
We've been complaining for years that we don't have any bite, and we finally get somebody with a little bit of bite, and now nobody wants him to pick up cards. Well, guys, stop fucking beating around the bush. Either you want the guy or you don't. And we finally have the player, and let's play him week in and week out. Again, let's let him get some minutes and let him develop this, because players at this level have to have minutes. That's what gets them into form, not coming in for 20 minutes, trying to salvage a game or salvage a win or salvage a point. Playing 90 minutes week in and week out, or 70 minutes week in and week out, is what you need to perform at your highest professional ability. And that's what we really need to do. Wenger just needs to go all in on Xhaka and play him beside either Ramsey, who I think would be great, and then Cazorla when Cazorla comes back, because Cazorla has a technical ability with that short ball, the link-up play, and then he can drop it back. He can drop it back to Xhaka, who can play that diagonal ball wide. That's what we're lacking right now.
We'll come on to Cazorla in a bit. Dom's going to do a bit on Cazorla after this section, because we're going to wrap it up here now. But Geoff, I'm going to come to you and Dom before on the Xhaka business. Dom, me and Dom were talking, and he was talking on about passing ranges, and he showed some passing. He tweeted some passing stats from the Man United game with El Nene and Coquelin, and then from last night with Ramsey, and all of a sudden you started seeing more forward balls, a wider range of passing. In all fairness to El Nene, he's a good link man. He's 7 out of 10. He's never going to be more than that. He's a good pro. Coquelin, we know where his strength is. It's in DM. But Xhaka gives you a really good range of passing, and surely combining that with Ramsey would give you opportunity. Maybe it wasn't the right game last night, but Arsene Wenger did seem to go a bit excited. We looked a bit excitable at him when he didn't go right with the pass. What are your thoughts on Xhaka? Why isn't he being played?
I think it's a couple of things. He's still very young. He's 20 years old. He's coming to the Premier League, coming to a massive club like Arsenal.
Are you sure he's 20?
Well, I think
24 or so. 24.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
He's not that young, mate.
Okay,
well, he was captain at Mönchengladbach as well.
I beg your pardon in that case. I thought it was still a youngster. I think. Listen, the manager. He's obviously he looks at his team, and like I say, he puts out what he think is best for that particular game. There's obviously a reason for it. I don't think there's anything in it. I don't think for 1 minute there's anything in it that there's something going on behind the scenes. I just think we can only surmise that he doesn't think the balance is right if Xhaka starts in some of them games, or maybe he just wants it. I think he maybe protect him in a little bit. He doesn't want to smash his confidence if he has a couple of bad games. To be honest with you, although I do think he's a good player, his passing ability seems very, very good. He hasn't really pulled up trees. He's not. But
has he had the chance, Geoff? I mean, this is the thing. He's played here. He's played there.
The games that I've seen him in,
Yeah, but I thought against Tottenham he was decent. He didn't set the world alight, okay? Yeah. He didn't set the world alight, but I thought he was decent, and I was surprised he then goes with El Nene at United. And this, it may be it's very much it is all innocent, and it's just I think Kris said last night in the radio show, as Shredder said, he's easing him in, and it might well be that but for what we lacked at United, and for the fact, and this is the bit which really confuses me, he did not appeal the red card against Swansea, and we have seen dozens of those challenges this season, dozens of them go unpunished. Surely he should have surely he should have appealed that red card.
I think they would have taken advice on that, and the like.
Geoff, there've been dozens of them.
Look at the Darmian, all the Darmian tackles in the Man United game.
Gone, yeah.
Oh my God, it should have been gone.
Yeah.
And yet, you don't get points for not appealing. It's done on a case-by-case basis, and this is the one thing I'm confused about. And
but there's nothing in that. There's nothing in it.
Yeah, but you can get, if they think it's a frivolous appeal, which I'm not saying it was, they can extend the ban for saying, because they think.
But there was no malice in it. It was cynical. Yes.
Wenger obviously sees him in training every single day.
There is a discipline thing, I think, is an issue, and Wenger spoke about it before the Spurs game and said he worries about Xhaka's discipline for big games, and I just wonder whether. Against Man United, where he thought, I can't risk playing in there, and against PSG, he can't risk. I wouldn't be surprised if he played this weekend, to be honest. It would make a lot of sense.
Isn't it interesting that he played him in a North London derby and not? I mean, you would think that the emotions would be higher for that than United.
Yeah, I do agree.
But why would you spend £35 million on a guy that you know that you're not confident in playing in these big games? That doesn't make any sense.
I totally agree. I agree, Dom. I totally agree.
I don't think it's a
disciplinary that money and not
thing.
Be an upgrade.
No, I don't think it's a disciplinary thing at all, because I haven't seen him make any out of control rash challenges where he's just.
I mean, that red card
had a brain
should
snap,
be a yellow, but that was one where it was just idiotic. But I think, as Geoff says, we've got to trust. Wenger sees this guy every day, and it's obviously his track record for him. I mean, I would trust Arsene Wenger to what he's seeing and what he thinks he's doing the right thing, but it just strikes me as odd. That's all.
I think I'll be very surprised if we don't see Ramsey and Xhaka very soon.
I genuinely
think that with what the midfield has produced in the recent few games, that's the next logical step.
To segue this for you, Jace, just real quick, I actually think that Cazorla's replacement is Xhaka. I think Wenger's bought him for that reason. I think Wenger sees Cazorla's eventually going to be out the door sooner rather than later, and I think Xhaka is that replacement for Cazorla. Because hopefully Cazorla comes back from this and is superb. But no, I that's why I think people are calling for us to get a more technical player. But I think Xhaka is that technical player that we're going to use to replace Cazorla when he leaves.
Well, he does have those sort of attributes that Arteta had, a lot of them, and I think the Bournemouth game could be the perfect opportunity. Okay, guys, let's wrap up PSG. We've done it to death. 2 draws in the week, lads. By the way, sorry, the own goal from Verratti, unlucky for Verratti, but to be fair, a shot's been taken by Ramsey. Fortune favours the brave. The equaliser, poor Iwobi. You can't blame him for that. We weren't great, but again, we've gotten past it.
I want to give Ospina another quick shout out for
actually,
making Cavani his bitch again, because that was hilarious.
But bear with me a second. Fucking Ospina dropped the ball in the box again on purpose, the twat, and then makes a wonderful save.
He's an enigma, isn't he? Because he doesn't look like he could save a Word document, let alone a shot on goal. And he goes out there and just makes Cavani. Well, I mean, Cavani does it to himself as well, but I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, no. I totally agree. Regardless of Cavani, screw him. Divey, cheeky git. Guys, that's two. I'll ask you one question, and Shredder's got a question for everybody. That's United away. That's PSG. Not played particularly well, but we're not losing at the moment. It's 18 games unbeaten. No, things aren't perfect, but we still keep on going. I'm going to start with you, Shreds. Happy, unhappy? What are your thoughts?
Geez, Jace, you know how negative I can be, but
Yeah.
I'm bittersweet at the moment, because while I feel like we could be playing a lot better, and I don't believe that our players are realizing their full potential. Again, like I said earlier, these matches that we've drawn are typically games that we've lost in the past. So I'm taking some positivity in the fact that we seem to have a little bit better resolve about us front to back, and are getting results where we haven't in the past. So that's a positive. So I'm going to say it's better. When you mentioned that, I think, what is it? I think Danny just put in here, 18 undefeated, 1 loss and 27 now. It's really hard to look at that stat and be morose or negative, because we're doing a good thing. We just got to start turning some of these draws into wins now. And I think this next stretch in December is coming up, because we've got some very winnable games. And so hopefully we don't drop points, and we're taking full points from each of these as we go throughout December and the Christmas period.
Okay, cool. Simon.
Yeah, I just think it's been a difficult run of games, because as much as I was pleased that Arsenal were playing at the start, I did look at the fixtures and think it's about as many points as I thought we should get from those games. And if you'd said take a draw from Old Trafford, a draw against Tottenham, draw against PSG, they're not terrible results. And like you say, we haven't played well and we've got the points. I think in terms of our creativity and our attacking play, it's a bit cyclical, and it goes through those phases. Players like Ozil and Sanchez blow a bit hot and cold. I just think now with the run of games that we've got, obviously Bournemouth and then Saints in the Cup, I think win both those games, it'll all be fine. And people getting worried about crisis and saying, because he's drawn 3 games in a row, 4 games in a row. I mean, you look at the record, and like you were saying there, it's 18 games undefeated in a row. It's 1 loss in 27. I mean, that's a fantastic record. So people need to keep calm, and I'm sure once everyone's back and firing, it'll be all right. And even without Cazorla for those few games, I think if it goes with a bit of Xhaka and Ramsey in there, I think we could see certainly more creativity and attacking threat that we've been missing in a few weeks. So hopefully, maybe for Bournemouth at the weekend, or if not, Saints in the Cup, we might see that pairing in midfield.
Cool. Dom.
Yeah, look, it's difficult to be too negative when you've got a record like that at the moment, and we've been notoriously bad in November, and you couple that with the fact that we've had 3 really difficult games. I mean, teams like PSG, Tottenham, United, they're not going to let you just turn up and do whatever you want. We're not going to just go out there and score 6 against everybody, because that's what we demand as Arsenal fans. But I would like to see the performances improve a bit, because I think we're capable of performing a little better in these bigger games. Yeah, look, going forward, I think that the signs are there. We've had some good run of form earlier in the year. I mean, Chelsea are now on top of the table, only 3 points ahead of us, and they were woeful not long ago. So it's going to go in swings and roundabouts. All of these big teams now, it's so difficult with even the smaller teams taking points off the bigger teams all the time, that picking up points this weekend is extremely important. This is the game that you really do have to make sure you get 3 points, because it's only going to be a matter of time before Chelsea start to have a little bit of a shitty run of form. If they get an injury to Costa or Hazard, or they go off the boil a little bit, then they're going to slip back down again. And, Liverpool were up there for a little bit. They've had a little bit of a slower patch of form recently. And for us to get through November with only being 3 points off the top, I'm pretty happy with where we're at the moment.
Cool. Geoff, just an update for you. We haven't been great the last couple of games. We've not been great. It's been frustrating, but 18 games unbeaten.
As you know, Jace, I'm a man that's my glass is always half full. It
is.
I honestly do believe Arsenal are a great team. I think we could.
Jeff, your glass only goes halfway, for fuck's sake.
No, mate. No, it's always half full, mate. I'm always optimistic, and I know that we're a good footballing team. We do, when we can play some very, very nice, entertaining football. Even the tough games. That even last night, it was a spectacle. I enjoyed the game. We had some rough patches, but I do enjoy going over there, and I enjoy the football matches. I know we've got some great players. I know we've got some. We've got a decent side there, mate. And I honestly do believe that we can do great things. We just need a little bit of luck as well with injuries. And if we can keep the form, listen, I hope our next 20, 27 or 29 games or whatever the stat is, we have the same again. Because if we can keep that form, we're going to be up there, mate. I promise you, we'll be up there. And if we can get into February and go right through February, have a really, really good February, and then get into March, and, still in the same type of form, I think we'll start. You never know what happens, but it's so difficult to win this Premier League, mate. As the boys said, you can go anywhere and get beat. So let's just keep on plugging away. I'm not too concerned about the draws. Draws happen. If we'd have got beat, I would be more concerned.
You have to remember that Spurs haven't lost a game all season, and Man United have lost one in their last 6.
Yeah.
So you've got to take that into consideration. And they're always, no matter of league form, they're always 2 of the hardest games of the season.
That's very true, mate. That's very true. I mean, I think we have been a little bit, at times the fan base there's a bit of a drama queen about it, but never mind. Okay, well, that's that then. Okay, so this week, we saw the news come through. Santi Cazorla has got a problem with his Achilles. He's gone to see a specialist in Spain. It's a bloody horrible, horrible injury. It's known as the old man's injury. I'm pretty sure didn't Arteta have it?
He was getting calf strains. Sorry. Right, Dom, talk us through it. So basically, it sounds like it's an Achilles tendonitis. So it's an overuse injury. As you get older, the tendons and ligaments and things, and the mobility of those areas stiffens up a little bit. The recovery takes a little longer, and all of a sudden he's in a role in the centre of midfield where he's expected to have a much bigger output physically than he's probably had in the past. So you put all those things together, and it's not really a surprise to me anyway that he's having issues with that at the moment. He had issues with it going into the season. Why we played him so much, I don't know. We had Xhaka and El Neni and Coquelin and other options. He played 3 or 4 games in a row, 90 minutes of pretty much all of them, played against Ludogorets where it sort of flared up at its worst, which was a game we really didn't need to risk him. So this is definitely, for me, somewhere where I would point at the manager or the fitness staff or whoever is in charge of that and ask questions why you continued to play a guy that had issues going into that period as much as they did, because it's something I mentioned at the start of the season, that if we expect Santi to play 38 Premier League games and 90 minutes of each one at his age, and with his athleticism, we're going to be asking for trouble. Well, and he needed much better management than what we've had so far. And the problem now is that with an inflammatory problem, if you try to, people forget, or maybe not, they don't forget, but sports science is the newest of all sciences. It's not been around for much more than 10 to 15 years in professional sports at a high level, and especially in the last 5 years. So the ability to get these players at elite fitness levels has just improved so much now that the demand for the physicality of any elite sport is so high that it takes a lot to get there. And so if he has an inflammatory problem, he may be able to rest it and wait for the inflammation to go down. But trying to get back to that level of fitness with all the impact and all the extra running and all the movement that he has to do and the short recovery time, he may be struggling to get back to that fitness level without it flaring back up again. And the only thing that they can do is give him complete rest, wait for the inflammation to go down and start all over again, which is why it looked like it could be a 2-week injury. If everything went perfectly and the flare and the inflammation went down and he was able to maintain some of his fitness, then yeah, look, 2 to 3 weeks. But that's obviously not the case because of his age, because of the type of athlete that he is. And it looks to me that I probably don't really expect him to play until Christmas, to be honest.
Well, this is
I hope I'm wrong, but it just seems like one of these injuries that with him in particular, they're going to have to give him full rest for a good 3 or 4 weeks. Well, and then it's going to take him a good 3 or 4 weeks to get fitness back. And then you're crossing your fingers that in that 3 or 4 weeks of getting back up to that level, that it doesn't flare up again.
This is the question I want to ask you. I hurt my Achilles last year. First time I've ever done it. And it was bloody agony. I dread to think what a professional sportsman goes through because it was horrible. Now, bearing in mind, I fractured my spine. I've smashed my knee up. For me to say it's horrible, I know what pain is. Danny just put in the box here, Josh Jaw from the radio show. Oh, by the way, welcome, Josh Jaw. Welcome to the tribe. It's nice to have you on board.
On a non-contract basis.
Yeah, you could be out at any time, pal. Yeah. Watch yourself. He had a problem with his Achilles, 2 years to get over it.
There's different types of Achilles problems. The thing is, the issue with Santi is because I don't think they managed it well to start with, it can turn into what's called tendinopathy. And not to not get too scientific on everybody, basically you have blood vessels and capillaries that go rogue a little bit, and they'll send signals to your brain that tell you that there's an injury there even when there's not anymore. So you can end up with pain and discomfort and problems for a long time because of these little capillaries and vessels that shouldn't actually be there anymore, and it's extremely difficult to fix. So that with Achilles problems is a huge kind of red flag to me, is if it's not addressed early and properly to start with, then you're not just risking things like calf injuries or the Achilles kind of tearing itself. You're more so risking just the length of recovery because of the type of damage that it can cause. And that's the concern for me. And that's why I think that I don't really expect to see him again until Christmas time, because they're going to have to start from scratch with him, which is almost they kind of did something a little similar with Ramsey where he had that hamstring problem. And if he was a fit player that never had a hamstring injury in his life, he would have been back in 3 weeks because it wasn't a severe one. But because he's had so many hamstring problems in the past, they basically took a full, really precaution sort of based approach with it, which is great and fantastic. And I said that they should have done that at the start, and they did, because otherwise you're just asking for trouble because you're just not letting it heal properly. You're not fixing the issues, and he's going to do it again. And the next time he does it, it could be 8 weeks out. So with Santi, that's why I'm surprised that the way that it was managed was really baffling to me. And granted, I don't get all the information. I don't know exactly where he was at, but it just seems to me that a lot of the games that he was playing were unnecessary games. And some of them we were up 3 and 4 goals in, and he wasn't somebody that got taken off.
That Ludogorets game, it did not make sense at 3-0 up. A 31-year-old man, and whatever you think about his talent, his body clock still keeps on going. Why was he kept on the pitch and other players taken off? It didn't make sense. But my question to you now, just to wrap this up, is if you're saying you're not expecting to see him till Christmas, well, Christmas is one of the most unforgiving periods in Premier League football. The games come thick and fast. I'm no medical expert. I have no idea. But do you think it could be the new year until we see him? Because they may look at it and think, well, it's better to have him for longer later than to bring him back and have him break down.
Well, the problem is getting him back. Like I said, getting that fitness back up to the level that it needs to be. Maybe 15, 20 years ago, when you were off injured for 6 weeks, it may only take you 2 weeks to get back to the required level to play Premier League football. That's not the case now. Slightly off topic, Arsene Wenger mentioned Hector Bellerin's one of his biggest assets as a player is his repeat effort work, and these are all words that I've been familiar with for a long time now. It's funny to me hearing the manager talking about these sports science aspects of people's game, because that is one of Hector Bellerin's biggest assets, is that in the 90th minute he's still able to produce these huge bursts of speed and output, which not many players can do. And so you're asking a guy in central midfield that you expect him to be able to do that, and to get that back up over the next sort of, few weeks. By doing that, getting back to that level, is it going to flare up again? They don't know. And if it does, what's going to be the next course of action? Because it's one of those injuries that you can't just wait for it to heal, like a hamstring problem or a quad or something like that. It heals up, you get back out to playing again, and it should be okay. This is something that it flares up. It's inflammation. It's extremely painful. It's pretty crippling and debilitating. And so if he's trying to get back to the level required to play in the midfield for Arsenal in a Premier League team, and it flares up, then I really don't know how long it could be. You just got to hope that what they're doing now is finally sort of the right course of action.
I think what you're basically saying is that he's gone over the hill a little bit. He's on his way down now, and that type of injury, he's going to maybe have to nurture that for the rest of his career, however long it is.
It sounds like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, basically, exactly.
Okay. So there we are with Santi Cazorla. Let's hope he comes back soon, and let's hope he doesn't face any issues with his recovery. Okay, guys, we've gone on longer tonight than we normally do, but we've still got questions to go. So I'm going to kick questions off this week, and the first question we've got is from Geoff Barker at A Royal Arsenal, and it basically says, in the US, when stars complain, they get more calls. What do you make of how much Sanchez bitches and moans at refs? And I'm going to kick off with Mr. Collings. You take this one. We'll do one question each, okay, guys?
I think it's just a cultural thing for Sanchez, isn't it? He seems to moan at everyone, whether it's the ref or his teammates. And I mean, personally, I'm not a huge fan of it. I just prefer players to get on with it rather than moaning at the ref, and not many other players in the team do it. But I think for someone like Alexis, who's so charged the whole time he's playing, you can see him, he's so pumped that he almost needs it to get himself going. He sort of vents a bit of frustrating shouting. Whether you get any more calls from it, I personally think with football it goes the other way. I think if you keep shouting in the ref's ear and giving him stick, then they'll just get sick of you and stop giving you decisions. But for someone like Alexis, you're not going to be able to take that out of his game. This is a guy who's 26, 27 years old. He's in the peak of his career, and he's always going to shout and scream at the ref, and he's probably shouting in Spanish anyway, so it's not much of an issue. But I agree that it is something that happens, and in the old Man United teams, you see with them surrounding the referee, they used to think they get decisions and stuff. But I think certainly the way the FA have gone about it with referees and giving them more powers and to be stricter and tighter on conduct and things like that, and swearing and stuff. So I don't think it actually plays into your hands anymore. And I don't think you can really influence referees in the way you might have been able to in the late 90s.
Cool. Good answer. Okay, Dan.
Yes.
On with the question. Let's go with the questions then, bro.
I certainly will. Right, we'll give you, everybody will get one each. So the first question is going to go to Mr. Shredder. I'm going to go in the order you are on my screen. This is from Josh from the radio. He says, the team look mentally jaded at the moment. How and who would you look to be resting in the next few games?
That's tough. I think Iwobi most likely would be, I would rest. The problem when you do that is who do you put on the left? And I do feel that Sanchez should start up front, as much as I love Giroud at the moment, although Giroud's been playing well. So I don't know. It's just Yeah, probably the biggest one is just Iwobi. He's young. Looks like he's lacking a little bit of confidence now after a few bad performances. So that would probably be the main one that I would sit out.
Plus, he can't risk having any more games than getting assaulted by Gabrielle. Right, next question is going to go to Geoff. This is from Potty Mouth Nil. Says it's a three-parter thing. Will Jenkinson improve?
Firstly, Potty Mouth Neil, she's a blinder. You've got to go and follow her on Twitter.
I think we did the pod does.
She's a blinder, mate. She's different class.
And I think Potty Mouth sums her up perfectly.
Will Jenkinson improve? If he stays at Arsenal, he'll improve. I think he'll improve wherever he goes.
Yeah.
Will he get the game time at Arsenal? I think he's going to get limited game time because obviously we've got one of the best right backs in European football at the moment, and that's even at the early stage. His young years. In Hector Bellerin, I think he's a decent player. I think he gets a lot of stick, unfair stick. He's still, he's just come back from a lengthy injury again. He's been thrown into the deep end. Couple of very, very big games, OT and European Champions League tie against PSG. I didn't think he did too bad last night. I didn't think he did too bad against. He wasn't our worst player in both of those matches. That's what I'm trying to say.
Left a little bit exposed with playing Sanchez on the right.
He's still got a lot to learn. There's no doubt about that. And the only way you're going to learn is if you play football matches. Let's get him on the pitch as much as what we possibly can. Whether or not he's going to be Arsenal's right back for the next 10 years, I very much doubt it. I've got to be honest with you.
Signing the contract. Go on, Jace.
Yeah, sorry, Eva McLean at Eva MCL3. We all know Eva. She has similar, but Jenkinson as well.
Yeah, she says, what do you guys think of Jenkinson?
Yeah.
I'm glad you said her name because I always fuck it up and it's only 3 letters. And also Mike Gannon asks Jenko, stay or sell him? Okay, going back to Neil's questions, Geoff, she's got 2 other quick ones. Has Theo gone off the boil? And should we rest Ozil v Bournemouth?
Has Theo gone off the boil? He's obviously not as effective as he was when at the start of the season when we burst on, but I don't think he has. It's just a matter of, all these players, they can't play. They're not brilliant every single game. It's all again about them pairings. Right back, right winger, whoever you're playing with. You've got to get that partnership good. I'm not sure. He's gone off the ball a little bit. Yes, short answer, but I don't think it's for any reason that the teams that we played and the players he's playing with.
And rest Ozil?
I'd let him play through it, Ozil, to be honest with you, because I've not liked him in the last 3 or 4 games. You could sometimes the same with Iwobi. I would play him, let him play through it.
Might do him good to play what is could be seen as an easy game.
I'm confident. I'm confident they'll come back again. Don't worry.
Okay, next question's for Dom. It's from Ellis Mel. He says, given our previous November, does 1 win and 3 draws against Spurs, United and PSG mark an improvement?
Yeah, I think so. I think we covered this earlier that, they're difficult games and they're probably some of the performances we put in previous years we would have completely folded and lost. So, I think it's an improvement, but I still think we could have done a little better here or there in some of those games, especially the PSG one being ahead 2-1. But yeah, I think it definitely is a bit of an improvement.
Excellent. Right, next one is going to Simon from Jack Jones. Would you stop trying to fit in Coquelin with Ramsey, Xhaka, El Neni, or is his defensive work too important to the team?
I think it's something we covered when we were chatting about our preferred midfield pairings. Personally, for me, I would quite like to go with Ramsey and Xhaka. Obviously, Coquelin's defensive work is invaluable, but I feel Coquelin works best when he's alongside Cazorla, simply because all the running he does and all the legs he gives, it's needed alongside Cazorla because of Cazorla's obviously his age and he doesn't get around the pitch as quick as he used to. Whereas I feel when you're playing him alongside someone like Ramsey or El Nene or even Xhaka, I don't feel there's as big a call for what Coquelin offers there. So I like the Coquelin-Cazorla partnership and I like the Ramsey. I would like the Ramsey-Xhaka partnership. So if you're playing with those two, I don't think you need him. And then as for El Nene, I think he's the perfect player to have off the bench, really. He reminds me a lot of of that Edu type midfielder who come on and keeps it ticking over. And I'd have either play Coquelin or Cazorla together, or Ramsey or Xhaka, and then have El Nenez as a man off the bench to fill in the gaps for the last 20-25 minutes.
Lovely. As the child steals all my crisps and buggers off. Thief! Good. Right. This one is from, I know Jason's already seen it, but it's from Sir Livers.
No. I do not ask me that, okay? Because I would only upset North Walians, and it would be wrong of me, okay?
See, now people are going to know what one of
Answer the question.
No. It's look, do not go down that road.
Is he living in Eastern Europe?
Basically, the North Walian accent is akin to Scouser stroke Bank, and when they speak Welsh, it is very powerful. So,
you got out of that like a politician.
Oh, mate, I cannot afford to upset people on this one.
Right, next question is to Shredder. It is from Jason CEO, who is living in New York. It starts off a bit wonky. Regarding our current strike options for strikers, why would any sane person pick white over dark turkey meat? Happy Thanksgiving.
Well, I prefer white turkey meat. Although
Racist.
Well, yeah, you would say that, Dom. You're Canadian now. So no, but the dark meat is actually has more fats in it, which hold more flavor. So if you want more flavorful, but I prefer the slightly healthier and more lean white meat because I'm already a chubby monkey and I need to lose a couple pounds.
And if anybody wants to go and see Jason's day on Instagram, they can go and see the videos that you've been doing.
It's been a cracker. It's been a cracker.
Do you want to tell them your Instagram thing? Or should you keep
at Jason K Schrader SHRADER.
Yes, and the K stands for Kim, as in Jun Kim thing. Right,
Sure.
Next one is to Geoff. From Jack Elvis Booth, no relation. Should Arsenal consider playing 3 at the back?
Did do early doors, didn't he, Wenger, in his early years? But when we had that invincible 5, so to speak. But I don't know. I think it's a tough one. I don't think so. I think he's trying to get the balance right in what he's trying to play at the moment. So let's just try and concentrate what we've got for now.
But if you did play 3 at the back, it wouldn't. I don't like people saying 3 at the back because it's not. It's 3 at the back, 2 roaming fullbacks, which is what we have already. But just imagine you have Mertesacker in the more defensive of the 3, and then you have Koscielny on one side, Mustafi on the other. No one's getting past those 3, are they?
Yeah, you've got your 2 fullbacks that generally push on anyway, and so you'll have your 2 centre halves that are always stuck in there, and Coquelin will generally go and sit in the middle of the 2 of them. So, acts as a 3 anyway if we need to be. But I think we should just carry on as where we are.
Probably best to get back to more goals is all we need. We don't really need to change the formation. This next one is for Dom. This is from. It's funny how these have worked out. I didn't plan for Jason to get that. I mean, Shredder to get that other one. From George Lesniak, he says, 2 shots on target in the last 2 games. Should we shoot more?
Next.
It's Greg. To be fair, it's Gregor Lesniak, okay, and I do like Gregor, but he can be a grumpy bugger at times. He's funny. He's a funny guy.
There's only, unless we've got any more. No, right. So there's one final question, and this is going to go to Simon, and it is from Hurry Kane, Hurri. Thoughts on Wilshere wanting Bournemouth to win? Doesn't bother me too much personally, but would like to hear your thoughts.
Well, he's playing for Bournemouth, so I think it's only right that he wants them to win. Obviously, he's not going to play on the day, but yeah, exactly. I think if you're out on loan somewhere, you should be hoping that team does well, and he's been playing very, very well there at Bournemouth. I did a blog on it actually a couple of weeks ago. I've seen him about 3-4 times down there, and the transformation from when he made his debut, I think it was 10th of September he played against West Brom, and he sort of was walking around like an ex-pro where his touch was great, but he was so far off the pace. It was just painful to watch. And now he's playing 90 minutes every week. He's playing in the hole behind Callum Wilson everything's coming through him. He looks fantastic, to be honest. And
what position is that compared to Arsenal? Do they play the same formation?
It's more of like a 4-4-1-1, but it's similar in the sense as in Harry Arter and Andrew Sermon sort of sit, and then Wilshere plays ahead of them, and then Jordan Iben, Stanislas on the wings, and Callum Wilson up front. So,
is it a kind of a deeper lying Ozil role?
Yes, it's similar to how Ozil plays, and Hal basically said that when he came in, that made no bones about it, that Wilshere is the best player at their club, and be foolish to not get the best out of him. And he looks really, really good there. And rather than what he was doing at Arsenal a lot, which we spoke about when he's getting those injuries and taking too many touches, it's a lot of one-touch stuff. Because he's fit and at the pace, he's zipping it about one touch in and out. And I think, I'm sure Wenger will be asked about it tomorrow at his press conference, but I think if Wenger's been watching, he'll be very impressed with him. So good stuff. And I'm not surprised he wants Bournemouth to win, because he's a professional, as we all know Jack is. So certainly right.
There you go. That's all the questions, Jace.
Okay, we have one more question. Before we have that question, I just want to give a quick shout out to a couple of guys who've asked questions, but I feel we've answered them throughout the pod. First, it's at Yonko Abs. That's at YONKOABBZ. He's basically spoken about Cazorla. It's not, we haven't exactly answered it, but we've kind of got the gist of it. And the other one is Samrid Zutshi at bugger off at SAMRIDHZ, who asked about Xhaka. The final question of the podcast is to Mr. Jason K. Schroeder. Take it away, Jace.
Is he on mute?
He's on fucking mute, isn't he?
I pulled a fucking Gimli. God damn it.
So good.
I like it. I like it.
Here we go.
I'm not being funny. You are an absolute disgrace.
All right, so this is for Geoff or Cy. Either one of you can take this. Are we a little bit worried that in our last 3 games, 2 of our goals have been own goals from the other team? And are you guys at all worried about our creativity and sort of finding where the goals will come from, or is that just down to opposition?
Shall I go? You want me to do it?
Go. Yeah, you go, Geoff.
Yeah, it just happens, doesn't it, mate? It's just one of them things. Especially last night, I don't think he could have done a lot about it. It came at him very, very quickly. And he, again, like you said, he was caught in between of, shall I got my head in the way or shall I take it out of the way? And he was half and it just flicked off of him. And unfortunately, he took it beyond David Ospina. If he'd have let it go, Ospina would have comfortably saved that. But no, I don't think so. It's just a game of football. Anything can happen. It's not science. Anything can happen in a game. And that's what makes it so beautiful.
Jace, you said that person sent a question in. Was it the person who did it on his phone and then screen grabbed it? I've got that saved as an actual bloody page. Should I just read out what he says?
No. It's okay. We've covered it in the game.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Shreds, I'll take that as well. Actually, you're talking about us scoring the opposition team scoring on goals, being part of our productivity. Well, if Ramsey hasn't hit the shot that hard, it doesn't ricochet and go in. Do you know what I mean? You make your own luck. And I think, sometimes, unless it's a howling own goal by the opposition, we have done something in order to force them into that position. So, people can say it's lucky, but you tend to make your own luck on the football pitch. So I think it's, we're quick enough to criticise our guys at times. But you've got to give them credit. It's like Theo Walcott. Theo Walcott's been average for 10 years for the Arsenal, and this season there's been a change in him, and it's been a fantastic thing to see. So we give him credit. So let's give ourselves a bit of credit for putting pressure on the opposition to force them into these mistakes. It's like in poor Iwobi last night. There's pressure on him, and it went wrong. Are you happy with that?
A bit northern then, went wrong.
Was it just a little bit of thing at the back of my throat? So, do you want to take it, or are you happy?
I think we covered it all there, really, Jace. I mean, I feel a lot like Geoff that it is cyclical with these sort of things, and it does depend on the opposition. It is difficult in those big games as well. We've spoken about how good teams like Tottenham and Man United are going forward, but defensively they are very good, and Spurs' defence, for as painful it is to say, it has been very good this season. It's been one of the best in the league. And I'm sure, players like Ozil and Sanchez, they do go through hot and cold patches. And it's been unfortunate for those sort of 3-4 games that they've all coincided that they've gone a bit cold. But Giroud looks like he's getting back to his best. I think the Ox deserves a start, and I'd be surprised if he doesn't start this weekend. He looks like he's getting a bit of form. So it's nothing to worry about. And I'm sure over the coming games it'll pick up again.
Cool. Okay. So, right, let's wrap this up. We've gone for quite a long time tonight, but I've got to be honest, guys. I think your content tonight has been fantastic. Well done, a lot of you. It's been really interesting listening to you guys. Well done. So we're going to wrap up with predictions for Bournemouth and Southampton. And we're going to start with Danny, the GFP.
That's very kind of you. And luckily, I've got everything written down already. I'm going to go Bournemouth. They are in a bit of form at the moment, which is good, but there's still no world beaters. And without their best player, because he's not cup tied, you're not allowed to play lone players. I'm going to go 3-0 and Ozil to break his quack.
And Southampton?
Oh, we didn't like that, are we? Southampton, unfortunately, I think they're going to beat us 2-0 because Wenger's going to stick to the usual youth players. And last time they were absolutely bloody abysmal, most of them. And they're all going to get another game. So I think it's going to be 2-0. And who was that bloke who was at QPR, the England striker?
Charlie Austin.
That's it. Super. If he's got his legs working, I'm picking him. If not, whoever plays up front. I like a bit of Charlie Austin. Anyway, Ross.
You like a bit of Charlie, don't you?
No, actually, no, don't. It's so scary.
Okay.
I'm scared.
Okay. Next, Jason K. Schrader.
Yeah. What was this? Predictions. I usually don't like to predict until the starting lineup comes out. But I will say, oh, shut your mouth. No, I will say Bournemouth. I'm going to say 3-0 to the Arsenal, and I'm going to go with let's go with Ramsey as the first goal scorer, just to fuck Twitter. And then let's see, Southampton. I'm going to say that's going to be nervy. I'm going to go 1-1 with OG scoring, not own goal, but Olivier Giroud.
Oh, bollocks! I got own goal.
Geoff Arsenal.
I think we don't struggle, but I think everybody has a little bit of a struggle after a Champions League game, especially of the magnitude of playing a team like PSG. I think all the Champions League teams do their next game back. I think it's a fantastic game for us, though, having said that, playing Bournemouth, because they'll let you play and they'll come out to play themselves. I think it'll be 1-0 to Arsenal, and I think Alexis will score the goal. The Southampton game, I think he'll play the kids. It'll be a tough one. I think we'll overcome them. We'll win 2-1.
Who's scoring first?
Got to take a guess, haven't I?
You have. You can change it later when the team's announced. Don't worry.
There's only one man that's going to play up front against Southampton, I think, and you've got to go Olivier Giroud.
I thought you were going to go Nicky Bentner then.
Yeah.
It's a no-go.
Yeah, it's a no-go.
Yeah, Giroud, though, I think he'll score again.
Superb. Dom.
I think maybe 2-0 this weekend, and Theo, and against Southampton, I think we'll get done 2-0, and I don't know, some potential Liverpool player probably score.
Okay, fair enough. Simon.
I quite fancied a big win against Bournemouth. I just think the way they played leaves them open, and I think Arsenal due a few goals. So I think it'll be 4-0. Giroud score first, and for the midweek Saints game, I think it'll be 2-1 to Arsenal and the Ox to score first.
You absolute git. Are you tosser? Okay, so Bournemouth, I've got to go 5-1 now to the Arsenal. 5-1 to the Arsenal.
Keep it conservative.
With Mesut. No. The last time I predicted 5-1, it was 5-2, pal. With Ozil scoring first.
That's the Bournemouth 5-1 Ozil.
Yeah.
Lovely, cool.
And Southampton 3-1 to the Arsenal with Geoff Rain Adelaide opening the scoring.
Not the Geoff.
The Geoff.
Oh, you're all fucking all delusional, like we're going to beat a decent Southampton team.
who
Jeff's just
cares?
asked who are Southampton playing after that, because that is quite important. They are away at Crystal Palace, because that might affect who they pick in their team, eh, Geoff?
You never know,
yeah,
guys.
yeah.
It's interesting. That's all that's left for me to do. Oh, no, shout outs. Sorry, shout outs. So, shout outs. Daniel, first go.
Alex, APATI. Now, I can't click on him. I can click on it there. He works for Ladbrokes. And we've recently done a couple of bits with Ladbrokes, unpaid as always, because we don't ever want money for doing stuff. And he is a writer for them, and he's an Arsenal fan. And it turns out, not only as he is an Arsenal fan and been getting us to do these things, which the bloggers did last, who did it? I think it was, who was it, Simon? One of your lot did it. It wasn't you, it wasn't Drew.
Luke.
It was Luke.
Luke is premium. Luke did it. And Alex, I was just messaging him from the podcast account. He's only been listening since the Steve Ball Collective days, hasn't he? So that's at APATIAA. Good luck with that. So, he's been listening since those days. And, thank you very much. And we might be doing some more stuff with him.
Brilliant. Cheers, Alex. Jace, your shout out.
Yeah, so I'm going to go for a couple of buddies. One on the East Coast is
He's doing a carpenter.
Yeah, shut your mouth. I'll do a carpenter whatever I want. One's on the East Coast. It's Ian_492, also known as Petter, spelled as Petter Check. Petter Recognize. Great follow. And then the other one is a good friend of mine as well. It's at Loose Football, LOOS Football. Another great follow. He's from the West Coast over in Portland. What great Arsenal
fan. Go Timbers.
Yes, he's a Timbers season ticket holder. So give
Friend
him a follow.
Geoff.
They're great folks. Great folks.
Okay, Geoff Arsenal, and don't say down dog.
Oh, yeah, down dog. Yeah, gotcha. Kelly Wood, great young lady from over the other side of the pond, Alabama. She's a massive Aaron Ramsey fan, and obviously of late she's been she's been defending Ramsey on Twitter a whole lot, and she's been doing a grand job as well. So
top lady.
She's worth a follow, I promise you.
Excellent. Dom.
First shout out is the last Arsenal fan to follow me on Twitter, and I've just gone through his profile. He's from Wales, Jace.
Good man.
His name is Jack Jones, and his @ is FFS Ref, as in for fuck's sake Ref, which is
he asked
funny.
a question tonight. We read out one of his questions.
There you go, and he agrees with me on Ramsey, so that's points for him. And the other one is John Welsh's shit beard, because we haven't mentioned that yet tonight.
How is that not a Twitter account yet? For fuck's sake.
I'm not being funny. Indie Kris is leaving people at airports. Calling the wank sock again, and it's stuck to a ceiling somewhere. You know what I mean? And yet, top bloke shit beard. Where is he? Where has he gone?
No idea. He's got a salesman beard now. He looks like a tramp.
He's probably hanging out with Indie Kris and Colin the Wank Sock.
I tell you what,
weird threesome.
Yeah, I wonder if Colin the Wank Sock has hidden up his beard. Oh, you can imagine it, can't you? Oh, Indie Kris stroking the beard with the Colin the Wank Sock inside.
This is
Call me a pirate. Call me a pirate.
Oh, I'm a pirate. Yeah. Oh, fill my jugs with rum.
He'll have you, mate. I'm telling you, he'll have you. Mate.
I tell you what, okay, bring them all on. Fucking hell. In any case, Simon, your shout out.
But just the first shout out, I just got two quickly. The first one goes to Indie Kris. Just keep rocking out, keep wearing those skinny jeans and that red hair. Yeah, you keep putting your 5-inch heels on. And the other one goes to Drew, who wrote the latest blog, which is at the Bergie Blogs. You can read it. It's all about Aaron Ramsey, similar to what we've been discussing tonight about him being used out wide and why it didn't work. It's a great tactical insight actually into why that, when we spoke about that United game and how it didn't work, Drew sort of goes into great detail about that and why in terms of the system Aaron didn't fit into it. So go give that a read. And I think it's me up next week, so I've got no idea what I'm going to write, but hopefully they'll be up be up there Tuesday. There'll be something going on, and every Tuesday, every week. So keep your eyes peeled.
I got an idea for you, pal. The Indie Kris Diaries.
I might do a first-person piece.
Think about it. Think about it.
I reckon it'll go viral. I think.
Podcast star by night.
Danny needs to find
Charged
needs to find the Twitter account for Colin the Wank Socks. It had a few tweets, but
I did a shortcut of it right here. It's called Ginger Colin, and it is at Gimli's Come Bro Sock. Good luck trying to find that.
Please.
It's a GIMLIS CUMBROSOC. We don't know who made it, and we don't know who runs it, and it's following us. And also the other one, the Indie Kris one, if anybody wants to go and have a look at Indie Kris, that is at INDIEKRIS. I'm not saying Raj made it, but Raj made it, and then said, "Oh, what's the password?"
He forgot the password straight away. He forgot it.
Also, we need to mention we are now linked up with something called the Highbury Library. It's run by I think the people from She-War have got a hand in it. I'm not sure how much of an organisation, because I haven't asked them. And the gist of it is it's collating all the decent Arsenal blogs and putting them all in one place without any bullshit in there. Because if you go to News Now and all those other places, they're really good, but they'll have loads of puff pieces that are done for clickbait and all that other bollocks. The people who organise the Highbury Library are not doing any of that lot, so go and give it a click. They're on Twitter as what are they on Twitter as? It's not called that. If I go to here, and it was one of the last people we followed, it's the N5 Library. So go and have a look at them. Go and have a look at their website, and all the decent people that do Arsenal blogs that we all love and adore, including ours, we're all on there. So it might save you a lot of time and bother if you want to go there and have a look at it. So go give them a bit of support.
I've just retweeted at Indie Chris's sole tweet. So if anyone wants to try and follow the account,
was it meet me at the airport, big boy?
No, his bio is Coonerette based in the southwest. I always follow back with a smile and shake my booty. Meet me at the airport soon.
I knew we'd put that in. It was brilliant. For those of you who don't know, we're not going to go into detail, but maybe there are many an Arsenal fan who's been at the airport handing shirts out and not knowing who played against Tottenham. Sorry, I just.
All the results of the poll that we did. We asked everybody, would you like to see us start doing 35 to 45-minute interviews with journalists about Arsenal and football in general, like we used to, because FK used to do them for us. We'd have the likes of Raphael Honigstein. We had John Cross. I know some people don't like him, but we do. With Fernando Duarte.
I don't think John Cross watched the game this week.
Didn't
I
he?
don't think he watched. No.
Well, Andy Brassel, I spoke to Andy Brassel when I was recording Chris's Hip Football Hipsters show, and he said he'd love to come on. And so Kris said he'll do a few of them, and Raj said he wouldn't mind doing them because he's sick and tired of 2-hour podcasts that take 4 hours to record. So it was 45% said yes. This is 783 votes. 45% yes, 14% no, 27% I'm a mushroom, and 14% can Reverend Raj heal me.
And to be fair, I voted for Can Reverend Raj heal me.
He can't fucking heal you. That's beyond fucking hope.
True enough. Okay, my shout out this week goes to Ian Martin. That's at Ian Martin 7. And he was the first one I saw with this tweet. I see at Spurs official have invoked Article 50. Hashtag Brexit. The Champions League. It was brilliant. That's all that's there for us to do. I want to thank everybody. Simon Collings has gone off crying because he just loves Indie Kris. Shredder, Geoff, Dom, Danny, you've been superb tonight. It's been a pleasure listening to you. Thank you ever so much, boys. Thank you, G.
Pleasure, sir. Anytime, you know that. Enjoy it.
Love you. You're superb. Dom, as always, fantastic, mate. Well done.
Thank you.
Shredder, brilliant having you on more regularly. Well done tonight. Superb job.
Cheers, buddy.
Pleasure. Danny, as always, you are a star. Thank you very much.
I would say thanks to you, but you have to be here. And I think Gimli might be back quite soon. He's had his shots. They've let him out of the cage.
That's my next shout out. That's
was it?
Yeah.
I haven't said anything yet, have I? Have you got any shout outs, Jace?
I've done one, and the next one's going to be, first of all, Drew and his blog on Bergie Blogs this week. And to Gimli, hope you're well, pal. Come back soon. We miss you. That's about it. I can't get too excited, you know what he's like. But yeah, thank you guys. It's been a pleasure. This has been a Bergkamp Wonderland. Thank you and good night. Where the fuck is Nanu cheeky monkeys?
You just said it.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Right, boys, who wants to take United?
I can do United.
Brill. Who wants to take PSG?
But I don't mind. You can slip me into it, mate. I'll just give it a little browse over.
Yeah. Not being funny. We don't need to go into depth. That's all it is.
No.
It's spark a conversation off, guys, and we go from there. Okay.
Well, I think we've all seen both games, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Do you know what? My Skype there is like Simon says. You know that I'm taking the press button one.
And weirdly, Simon did says.
He put his hand up first. I'm looking forward to tonight. Right, are we ready to rock, boys?
Yep.
Hold on, 2021. Just counting 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 8. One loss in 29.
Fucking not
Yeah,
bad,
but
is it?
it's a crisis, so.
There's a few accounts I think it is. One loss in 29.
Okay.
And most of those have been wins, I think.
Unbeaten. Is it 18 games unbeaten? So that's 16 games? Yeah.
Don't be afraid to bring it up, lads. It's a case of we may have grumbles and what have you, but
When we got Bournemouth, Southampton, League Cup, Southampton, maybe, but Bournemouth, West Ham, Barnsley, Stoke,
Barnsley?
Did I say Basel? Same thing. They all speak funny. So we've got them. That's another 4 wins, apart from Southampton.
it's cold in both of them, isn't it? It's cold in both of them. Okay.
All right.
Ready?
When you start, remember you go 3, 2, 1, small gap, and then you start, and then you get it wrong the first 2 times.
I do.
Hello.
No, Hollick's not here for us to do that.
I tell you what, I do like that. I do like that. Right, okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to Bergkamp Wonderland. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Sounds good in Welsh, I tell you. Well,
We finished.
Come on! Collings, you're
Sorry,
back!
I dropped out the call.
Come
on.
Oh,
We've got to say this, Scott. You've been brilliant tonight. Thank you very much. Well done.
Thanks,
good
mate.
pod, that. Very enjoyable, that, I tell you.
yeah, very
Easy
good.
as-
Long one. How long was it? 2 hours, Dan?
Oh, about a month.
No, it was a good one, though. It was a good one. It was all
It
very
was.
listenable.
Boys, in
Yeah.
all fairness, okay, I
Yeah.
sat there listening to the content, and
Good.
whether I agreed or disagreed, it was absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed that.
Good
Good.
stuff, mate. I'm telling you. Really enjoyable. Well done.
Length doesn't matter if the shit's good in it.
That's right.
In it.
Length always matters, pal.
That's what she keeps telling me.
Hey!
Again, when you're paying them, they tell you what you want to hear.
How'd you know?
Indy Chris has done 3 tweets, and 2 of them are to you, Jace.
I fancy it could be Jason's account,
No.
Hello, handsome.
No, definitely.
I mean,
Raj
who's going to
set it
fucking
up.
say hello, handsome to Jace? I mean, have a look at him.
You cheeky fucker.
I'm only kidding. You are handsome. You're a handsome bugger, mate. If you weren't living in Wales, I'll tell you.
Cat ladies love Jace.
I'd get you, you bastard.
I tell you what, Jeff Arson, and I'd leave you to me. I'd leave you to me. It would be...
Do.
Oh, boys, I really enjoyed that. It's
I've
really
eaten
it's good
5
stuff,
bags
mate.
of crisps and 4 mince pies whilst doing this show.
Fucking hell.
How long will that take you, Danny?
What do we
20
that lot?
minutes?
About a minute and a half.
Yeah, that's right.
I want to get the show up. Well, as you lot are so fucking good, there's not a single bit of editing. Well done.
That was. I genuinely, I really enjoyed
Enjoyable.
it.
Very, very enjoyable, that one.
You ain't got headphones on, have you, Geoff?
Yeah.
You have?
I have, mate. Yeah, of course I was. It sounded dodgy.
No, it just sounded
Bet-
a little bit tinny. No, it's perfectly fine.
Better now?
Oh, hello.
Too
No,
late.
you figured it out. Why didn't you have it over the top of your head?
I had my microphone about 2 inches further away from me mouth, you know.
Oh, here he is. Hello. Welcome to the show, Geoff.
Boys,
remember that in the future.
You got choice of songs. Either I'm going to DJ at the End of the World by R.E.M. or Living Well is the Best Revenge by R.E.M.
How about Angels by Robbie Williams?
Oh, for fuck's sakes, no.
Something indie. There's only indie on indie tracks, I think.
Yeah.
Well, R.E.M. are the indie band, aren't they? They may be from
Yeah.
30 years ago, but they are the indie band.
Indie Kris and his Red and White Army. That's got to be the title, isn't it?
No.
Indie Kris and his red and white. Oh.
Indie Kris and his Red and White Army.
Kris is Red and White Jap's eye.
You notice the top bloke
See you
shit
at the
bit?
airport.
iTunes edited out the shit bit. I feel
what?
besmirched. Yeah.
What about Come Fly With Me by Sinatra?
Oh, go on. Put that down, Daddy. Put that down.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a winner. That's a
Come
winner.
fly with me. I've got Mickey Bubbles version.
What's the airport thing all about?
Oh,